We good? Good evening. We're going to call the regular meeting of the Verona Zoning Board of Adjustment to order at 7:31 p.m. on May 14th, 2026. Madam Secretary, would you please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Madam Secretary, would you please read the notice of this meeting and call the roll?
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act have been satisfied with respect to this meeting of the Township of Verona Board of Adjustment, which is being held in the ballroom of Verona Community Center, located at 880 Bloomfield Avenue, Verona. Specifically, the time and date were included in the public annual meeting notice. This information, along with the meeting agenda, was posted in the municipal building at least 48 hours preceding the start time of this meeting. The agenda and meeting documents can be viewed online on the Board of Adjustment's webpage on the Township's website. Please take notice that pursuant to NJ Public Law 2025, Chapter 72, the complete text of each legal notice of the Township of Verona, including all public entities under the authority of the Township, may be obtained or viewed by the public on our official state-registered webpage, veronanj.org/legal public notices. All meetings are recorded. Instructions on how to comment will be provided at the appropriate time. Those wishing to speak during any public comment period should only provide their name and municipality. Street addresses are not required. Please be advised that should a member of the public choose to state their street address, it will not be redacted from this recording. Mr. Tully?
Here.
Dr. Rees? Here. Dr. Cordes?
Here.
Mr. Ryan?
Here.
Mrs. Murphy-Braddix? Mr. Mathewson? Mrs. DiBartolo? Here. Vice Chair Weston?
Here.
Chair McGinley?
Here.
Board Attorney Massaro?
Here.
Ms. Tanware? Here. Ms. Mish? Here. And myself.
Thank you. Let's start with some general information. This board deals with the issuance of variances from the Verona zoning ordinance. That ordinance establishes specific requirements for the land area in the township and regulates not only the uses permitted, but the size of the lots, setbacks required, parking, signs, conditional uses, and numerous other such regulations. An applicant is never entitled to a variance. Applicants must meet specific criteria contained in the state municipal land use law by satisfying certain legal standards of proof. The burden is on the applicants to show that they should be granted the specific relief requested. Depending on the type of variance requested, applicants will need to prove special reasons, undue hardship, a balance of benefits, and other criteria. These are legal proceedings. Public meeting notices have been published. Neighbors have been notified. Applicants and their representatives will provide sworn testimony and be subject to cross-examination. Any action this board takes at this meeting will be memorialized in a resolution document prepared by our legal counsel that will be reviewed and adopted typically at our next regular meeting. At that time, any variances granted will become effective. That said, we are a board that conducts its business in a fairly informal manner. Applicants are sworn in, tell us what they want to do with their property and what they are asking the board to do. Board members will question witnesses, and then members of the public may question those witnesses. At the conclusion of the testimony, members of the public may make a statement regarding the application. After closing the public portion of the application, the board will deliberate and render a decision. If you are following, we are up to item E on the agenda, approval of minutes. First up, minutes of our regular meeting of April 16th, 2026. They have been sent out in advance. Hopefully everyone's had an opportunity to review them.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes from April 16th.
Second.
Perfect. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay. the minutes of our special meeting of April 21st, 2026.
I'll also make a motion to approve those.
Good.
Second.
Oh, we're on a roll. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Good. Moving on to item F, resolutions. We had 3. The memorialization of Resolution 2026-08, 18 Martin Road.
I will make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-08.
Okay,
Second.
Kevin, thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions?
I abstain.
Okay. Thank you. Memorialization of Resolution 2026-09, 5 Meadow Lane.
Zero 08 or 09?
I'll make a motion to approve Resolution 2026-09.
Is there a second?
Is that just a point of order? Meadow Lane, is that 2026-08 or 09? This one,
The resolution.
oh, the
Resolution.
resolution is on, all right, thank you. I'll second it if it hasn't already been.
Thank you, Kevin. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay.
If you did not vote in favor, you cannot vote on the resolution.
It was Meadow, but if you didn't vote in favor, you abstained. Or abstain.
We can't vote.
You don't abstain, you can't vote.
If you're not voting.
It's a small distinction. Okay. Are we, got that vote in the books? Good. All right, last one, memorialization of Resolution 2026-10, 29 Linwood Road.
I'll make a motion to approve that resolution.
Second.
Okay. Thank you. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Crazy rules. Okay, that moves us through to item F on the agenda. Oh, excuse me, moves us through item F on the agenda to item G, unfinished business. Application 2026-04, 1 Clover Lane. Could I ask the applicant to please come back up to the front? Counselor, give him the spiel about still being.
Yes, sir, thank you. Can you state your name and address for the record, each of you, please?
Mir Shatio, 1 Clover Lane.
Alpha Dusty, 1 Clover.
And this is a continuation of your application from last month, so you are still under oath.
Okay. So- Okay. When last we left, I believe you were going to look at a new type of fence and possibly in the same area?
Yes, that's right.
Okay. So if you would, bring us up to date since the last meeting.
Sure. So the new fence, after learning of some of the regulations from last time, would be a cedar plank fence. I think it would keep some of the same natural look. It would be up to 3 foot, and it would create a barrier for any of the reasons that we were looking for a fence in the first place. Be 6-inch planks 4 planks up to 3 feet.
Okay.
I believe you have a picture. Yeah, so the picture on the bottom there is an actual picture of the type of fence from the contractor.
Sorry, 1 second. We have to
Yeah.
identify the picture, what it depicts, and what we're referring to, and we'll call it A1. I don't think you introduced any exhibits last week, so would you call this A1, and if you can identify it, that would be great.
Sure, so I guess they're not labeled.
You want to call the whole set A1, and then you can break down each, okay. So A1 depict the proposed fences on the property, 3 different types of fences, is that correct?
Okay, yes,
Okay.
correct.
Okay.
So the one fence is an actual A1. The second picture on the front page of A1 depicts the actual fence as an example from the contractor. And the top picture is what would you call it?
You've generated.
Yeah, like a
rendering.
a rendering. Thank you. That's the word. A rendering of what it would look on the property. That's an actual picture of the property, and the fence is rendered. The only difference is the rendering shows, I believe, 5 planks. It'd probably be 4. It's up to they just didn't get the exact number there. For A1 on the second page, the lone picture there shows what the front Clover Lane side would look like, and we rendered in the hedges in the front as well. So that would just connect to the first picture on A1.
Do you have a gate on the smaller fence?
Yes, sir. We will have 3 gates, one between us and our neighbor behind us. Just, if he likes to come into the yard sometime, leave it open. One for the front part of the yard on Clover Lane, and one on the side for personal usage.
Can I just remind everybody to use your microphones, please?
Sorry.
And you're planning on putting shrubbery in front of this fence, all around?
Yes, ma'am.
Shrubbery in front of it?
In front of it, for the Clover Lane side, there's already existing shrubbery on the Linwood side.
All right, what type of shrubs are you planning on putting there?
Probably boxwood. We have some boxwood on the property already, small boxwood.
They do have to get approved, do they? No. Not for boxwood. A slow grower, you know that.
Is it? Okay, I have to research my shrubbery. I'll take recommendations. Oh, do I have to press down? Sorry.
Just press the hand and it'll stay on until you're done.
Yeah.
Anyone else on the board with questions for the applicants?
Yeah, I have a question. So the last rendering on the last page here, the one at Clover Lane, 2 things. Number 1, where in relation to the shrubs would the fence be returning? Because it's just not shown in this picture, in the rendering, like where it would be turning. So is it proud of the shrubs, or is it inboard of the shrubs?
Do you mean the shrubs on the Linwood side or the Linwood side? It'd be inside of the shrubs.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then furthermore, is this your design intent to have a straight run here? Because on the site plan, it's noted as kind of meandering.
The rendering was difficult to do a meandering, but it will be a straight at the line, like behind 10 feet. So, yes, it will honor that 10 feet rule on the Clover Lane side. The contractor render, and, the idea is to keep it straight, obviously behind the 10 feet line on the clover lane.
I'd really like to clarify something. You're putting in a fence, not this large-sized one down here.
No, ma'am.
And
That's
and
just
the
a
one that
real
you're
life
putting
ex-
in has five,
Four 6-inch planks. That, the image you're referring to as the second image on A1 is a real-life example from the fencing contractor himself of the type of cedar fences he puts up, the planks. So it gives you an idea of what the planks look like, essentially. But let's cut that in, a third, and that's what would be our. He just
Have you
didn't have a 3-foot
Have
example.
you spoken to your neighbors across the street about this fence? Are they
Yes,
approving of
ma'am.
it?
Yes, ma'am. Neighbors behind us, the Pennies.
We spoke to the neighbors behind us on the far side on Clover Lane, so I guess there are 3 Clover Lane, and then we spoken to the neighbors across the way, Ron, and then Kristen and Scott who are across Linwood. So everybody that's close to us on Clover, and then across the way on Linwood too.
You have a beautiful greenery around your house and a beautiful lawn, and it's very, very charming to look at. What positives do you think come to the neighborhood as a result of your putting this fence up?
We have, especially on Clover Lane, a lot of the neighborhood kids like to come play in our yard, and they're between the ages of right now 1 and 5. And a lot of the time we're chasing them out into the street and trying to bring them back. So having that space that's safe, but it still allows them to come in, that would be really ideal. And then we're hoping, the main reason is safety, but we're also hoping to put up something that looks pretty too, with the shrubbery. I know people comment on our shrubs all the time on Linden, so hopefully it looks as pretty on Clover Lane too.
They will still be there, of course.
Yeah, they will. Yeah, we've got pretty lilacs, and I don't know what the other 2 are, but they bloom in the spring. They're really pretty.
Thank you.
And in terms of that large tree in your backyard, were you able to get a clear understanding of where that was in terms of your property line and in relation to where you wanted to place this fence?
Yes, sir. The tree's mostly on our property line, about 90% of it. So the plan that we have with the fence is that there'll be floating planks going to the tree, so it won't hurt it at all. It will post up, let's say, 2 feet on either side of the tree, and then the planks will go up to it and leave a gap of a few inches, so there's no, issues to the tree, and it stays on that property line
We spoke
on
with,
that side.
Yeah. We spoke with our neighbors that are behind us, because the part of the tree is on their property. So they have the notice from us from this, but then we also talked about the floating fence and making sure that the tree was safe.
And we have a gate right next to the tree as well for them, actually, just to be well integrated into our neighborhood. Just to signal more that this isn't a privacy fence, it's just to maintain safety.
Any other questions from the board?
Can I just ask for a clarification? The fencing that's going to go to the tree will be 6 inches off the property line towards your property?
Yes.
Correct? Okay. And the only other thing that I have as far as that tree goes being in that, if it's on both properties, should there be any problem with the tree in the future, it could affect the fence if that tree has to come down and it is your fence.
Counselor, since I opened this up to questions from the board, do I need to open it up to questions from the public?
Yes, Mr. Chair.
Is there anyone from the public who would like to ask the applicants a question on the testimony they've presented so far this evening? Seeing none. Is there anyone from the public who would like to make a statement about this application? Seeing none, I would close the public portion and move to board deliberation. I think this is how far we got the last time.
But there's no chicken wire.
No chicken wire.
I think the applicants have, from what I remember of the concerns that the board expressed to them regarding their variance, I think they've made a sincere effort to incorporate the suggestions that the board has made, and as far as I would recommend that we approve the variance. And I will vote in favor of it.
Anyone else?
So I think that the fence is definitely scaled appropriately. The fact that it's probably somewhere around 30 inches high, which is about this table, seems to fit with the scale of the neighborhood. Generally speaking, however, I am not in favor of fences in front yards. I do feel like they're a little standoffish. And I'm almost never in favor of a permanent solution to a temporary problem. The kids running around, I understand how that feels for sure, but they do grow up like that, and this won't be an issue forever. And there's not a tremendous amount of traffic here, so I don't think that I would be in favor of this application.
I think the design that was presented is well thought out. I do like that the height of the fence is only about 3 feet or so. Certainly still leaves enough height so it's open, it's not walled off. You could see what's happening on the street. You could kind of talk to neighbors over the fence very easily. So I would be in favor of the application.
They got me at shrubbery. Shrubbery in front and shrubbery back, behind, if indeed that's what you want in your garden. But I would vote in favor of this. I think that the applicants have done a yeoman's duty to try to answer the questions that we pose to them. But I would hope that this shrubbery that you talk about is fast growing and that it is there for, that you're planning on keeping it and not just letting it die and not replacing it. Because I agree that fencing in front of houses tend to be standoffish. So I just give you those words of encouragement and hope.
Thank you.
Other thoughts?
Mr. Chairman, as part of the review of the application, there is a question about a site triangle and a prohibition against anything 2.5 feet above center line grades, intersecting streets within the site triangle. I guess we should defer to Sarfine about the site triangle and to make sure that that's satisfied.
As the plan that is submitted, I did take a look at it. There's a small portion of it within the 25 feet that you go either way. But the fact that it's a 3-foot high fence and then it's only they're proposing 4 planks, I don't see it being an issue. But if the board wants, they can also recommend the fence to be pushed back outside of that triangle. There is a small portion of it within so they would be requiring that variance.
So, Mr. Chairman, the board can either grant the variance or require just a slight relocation. Is that correct? Subject to the board engineer's approval of the location, or to make sure it is without the necessity of a variance. Sir Finat, I just wanted to, you said you believe it's okay as it is?
Yes, I think.
If the variance is granted?
Yes.
Right. I would be okay with the variance. It's not a very high traffic area, particularly going from Clover to Linwood, or even the other way, Linwood onto Clover. It's, the people that drive there are very familiar with the area. I don't see it being a safety issue.
And it's a somewhat unique corner because it actually curves out and around the property. So your site triangle starts a little closer to your land. Also, those large bushes that you have along Linwood are probably already in the site triangle. So unless you're going to do some trimming, if people are making it around, there's 5 houses on that corner, on that block. 6, yeah. The other five should know how to get there. And I wouldn't be too concerned about it if.
Does that mean that the fence has to go in further at that point?
You can give a variance.
We can condition that.
Condition that it moves into 10 feet
Right, or,
consistently.
right, or you can
Give it an additional variance?
give the variance as per Sarpine's recommendation.
Okay. Arguments one way or the other on that particular issue? Do we add that as a variance? I'll make it a condition.
It's one of the variances.
So you'd have to grant that variance. It's not a condition, it would be the variance.
What are we arguing about? Okay. Finish up thoughts? Okay, hearing none. Is there anybody who is prepared to make a motion at this point?
I'll make a motion to approve application 2026-04, 1 Clover Lane.
With the condition that shrubs be planted in front of the fence as depicted in the...
As depicted and as testified to.
Okay. Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you. Roll call vote.
Mr. Tully?
Approved.
Dr. Rees?
Yes.
Dr. Cordes?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
Yes.
Mrs. DiBartolo?
No.
Vice Chair Weston?
Yes.
Chair McGinley?
Yes. By my vote, the motion passed. We'll have a resolution for you at the next regular meeting. And good luck. Keep everybody in there.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Next up, application 2026-09, 725 Bloomfield Avenue. If you would, please come to the front.
I have it for you. Here, have your copy.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman. Welcome back.
I wasn't sure if the mic was on since I have a red light, but I guess the red light means we're good. Good evening, everyone. Alan Trembulac appearing this evening on behalf of Liberty Bank of New Jersey. This is an application for several variances relating to the bank branch located at 725 Bloomfield Avenue at the corner of Bloomfield Avenue and West Lincoln Street. This property was granted approvals for construction of a bank branch back in 2004. At the time, the applicant was American Savings Bank of New Jersey, and coincidentally, I actually handled that application and obtained the approvals for the bank branch. And at the time, this board granted several variances for the property, one being a D1 use variance to permit a bank having drive-through lanes leading to an ATM machine. Banks were and still are permitted in the zoning district, but drive-through lanes were not, and they're still not permitted. But the board approved the variance for the drive-through lanes. In addition, in 2004, another variance granted by this board was to allow a freestanding monument sign on the Bloomfield Avenue side of the property. Freestanding signs are also not permitted in the town center zoning district, but a variance was granted and a sign was subsequently erected in the location approved by the board. It's since been removed after the bank branch closed a couple of years ago. As I'm sure you all know, American Savings Bank was subsequently merged or acquired by Investors Bank. And Investors Bank continued to operate a branch on this property. Subsequently, in 2023, I believe, Investors merged with Citizens Bank, which continued operations for a short period of time until a decision was made to close the branch in 2004. Property's been unoccupied since that time until earlier this year, when Liberty Bank of New Jersey, a new state-chartered community bank, opened its first branch at this property. Except for some signage and a new flagpole that we'll talk about, there have basically been no changes whatsoever to the property or to the existing building. We've filed this application seeking approval for 4 variances, 2 of which were previously granted by this board in 2004. The first variance we need relates to the drive-through lanes, which, again, we're not proposing any change whatsoever, but just to resume operating the branch as was previously approved, with drive-through lanes and an ATM machine on the easterly side of the property. Again, the board approved that variance as part of the approvals granted in 2004. We're applying for the same variance today. And I should state, parenthetically, I just want to state for the record that we really don't believe that a variance is legally required for this. As a general rule, as I think you all know, variances, when you grant a variance, it runs with the land and it doesn't legally expire. Now, Kathleen, your zoning officer, who I have great respect for, took the position that because the bank branch had closed and hadn't operated for more than a year, that the use had been abandoned. But again, respectfully disagree with that interpretation of the ordinance, because the ordinance that deals with abandonment talks about abandonment of non-conforming uses. This never was a non-conforming use. A non-conforming use, as it's defined in the municipal land use law, is the use that at one point was permitted, and then zoning ordinance was changed or a new ordinance was adopted, and that use is now not permitted. But as you know, it's a legally non-conforming use and can continue. And the ordinance dealing with abandonment deals with non-conforming uses. This was not a use was never permitted in this zone, but it was permitted by variance, and I think the variance, again, runs with the land and doesn't expire. I just want to make that point for the record. We've applied for the variance, and we're confident that the board will approve the variance for the same reasons the board approved, this board approved it 22 years ago. 3 other variances that we're seeking. One is for a monument, a freestanding monument sign, which we're proposing to locate in the landscape island on Bloomfield Avenue between the driveway entrance and the parking lot, which is the same location where the prior monument sign was approved by this board. It's roughly the same dimensions, the same location, previously approved. The sign would still be there if not for the fact that, I guess Investors or Citizens Bank removed the sign after they closed the branch. We'd like permission to put this, a similar sign back in the same location. Third variance is for a flagpole that the bank installed near the corner of Bloomfield Avenue and West Lincoln Street, not realizing that it needed approvals or permits for the pole. As it turns out, the pole height is 25 feet, which exceeds the maximum height permitted in your ordinance for accessory structures. I mean, this really isn't a structure, but it's considered to be a structure. It's a flagpole, but the height limitation is 20 feet, and we're 25 feet for the pole. And then the last variance we're seeking is to permit temporary window signage on 2 windows. Your ordinance allows for temporary signage on windows, but not to exceed 25% of the window space. And we're requesting permission to have signage up to 50% of these 2 windows for the reasons that will be discussed. So those are the 4 variances we're seeking. I have just 2 witnesses to present. My first witness will be the President and CEO of Liberty Bank, Richard Spangler, and then following his testimony, I have our professional planner, George Williams, who will provide testimony in support of the variances. What I'd like to do first, though, is hand out...
Mr. Chairman, can I interrupt?
Of course.
Mr. Chairman, the application was deemed complete and notice was deemed proper, and the applicant can therefore proceed.
I hate to think we haven't listened to that.
That's good to know.
Well, you started, I didn't want to interrupt you.
Sorry.
So I figured we'll just wait.
So I have a group of exhibits. I have copies for all the board members, and there's 4 things here, and you'll, Mr. Messeri, you'll tell me whether they need to be marked. The first 2 exhibits are the resolutions adopted by this board for American Savings Bank back in 2004, and then there was an amendment a couple of years later. So there's 2 resolutions. I also provided, I think you already have these, but the series of 5 photographs that were submitted with the application. And then the 4th and final exhibit in this package is 2 photographs that Mr. Spengler will discuss, which are just show some windows on other properties in the area, which are being offered in support of the variance we're seeking to permit.
Mr. Chairman, can you give the dates of those resolutions? So A1 will be
Sure.
BOA resolution.
First resolution is dated December 9th, 2004, and the second resolution is dated October 12, 2006.
Thank you.
And again, I have...
And then A3, the third exhibit was part of the application package?
Yeah, the same group of 5 photographs that
Okay,
were
so
submitted with the
we'll mark those.
application.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I usually forget to turn those on. So I'm ready to proceed whenever the board's ready with our first witness, Richard Spangler.
Mr. Spangler, can you state your name and business address for the record, please?
Yes, Richard Spangler, 788 Morris Turnpike, Short Hills, New Jersey, zip code 07078.
Can you raise your right hand, please?
Sure.
Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes, I do.
Thank you.
Mr. Spangler, what is your position with Liberty Bank of New Jersey?
I am currently the president and CEO for Liberty Bank.
Okay. Why don't you take a few minutes and just talk about Liberty Bank. It's a newly formed bank, community bank. Tell the board, just a little bit of background regarding the bank.
Sure, I can go on a long time, so I'll try to keep it short. A group of us got together about 2 years ago. I'll call them business and community leaders here in North Jersey, looking at the situation that many small businesses were facing. A lot of these people had clients who really had no bank to service them. A lot of the big banks in the market just didn't want to support smaller businesses, basically people under 75 or $100 million in revenue. The number of banks in the state of New Jersey since 2003 has declined from 134 down to 51. Actually, I think it's 50 now because one merger just closed. Another one's pending, so it'll be 49 before the end of July. So over 60% of the banks have left the market, predominantly all of the smaller community banks. So it's been underserved in this area, and we put together a group. We raised $50 million in capital, and we applied. We got FDIC approval in just over 6 months. And we opened the bank at the end of January this year.
Okay. What about your prior experience in the banking industry before forming, and being involved with the creation of Liberty Bank?
Immediately prior to, I was an employee for 2 years with Citizens Bank. The irony here is that I was with Investors Bank. I was there for just over 20 years. I was Senior Executive Vice President and Chief Lending Officer. And this ended up being one of the branches that we had. That was part of the acquisition we had done with American Savings. Citizens, after the merger, they kept the banks separate for about a year. Then they merged the two banks together. And after that, we had a newer branch that was up in Cedar Grove. So they chose to close this branch and move all of the deposits to the Cedar Grove branch. At the time when the merger actually first went through, there was just over $100 million of deposits that were located in this branch. So we reached out to Citizens, who introduced me to the landlord, and I went through a whole bunch of different departments at Citizens, but found the right guy, and we were able to execute an assignment of the lease from the landlord, taking over that lease that Citizens had by virtue of Investors Bank.
Okay. And when was it that Citizens merged with, when was it that Citizens decided to close the Bloomfield Avenue branch?
So the closing of the transaction of Citizens acquiring Investors was April of 2022. They ran it as a separate bank until February of 23. At that time, they then combined the two banks into one entity, did all of the name changes, all of the signage, and I was able to research, and in October of 24, an application was made to the FDIC to request to close the branch. I can't find out exactly what date they closed it on, but the FDIC document came in October. You figure it was probably 60 or 90 days after that.
Okay. Sure. So sometime in late 2024, apparently.
Or early 25.
Okay. So the branch was closed for roughly a year or so before Liberty Bank took occupancy.
Correct. We took an assignment of the lease, I guess in August, and we started moving in and using it, after that.
Okay. To your knowledge, did anyone occupy the property between the time Citizens closed the branch and the time Liberty Bank commenced operations?
No, they left it as a bank. In fact, we purchased the furniture that was still left inside from them.
Okay, so there were no physical changes made to the interior of the building, still remained set up as a bank branch?
Yes.
Okay. And to your knowledge, the property itself, including the building, is it essentially the same condition that existed at the time Citizens closed the branch?
Same footprint. There's been no change.
Right, okay. Okay. Talking about I want to talk a little bit about the variances that are being requested. There was previously a drive-through, there are still drive-through lanes for this bank branch, correct?
Yes.
And there was previously an ATM machine at one of the drive-through lanes?
Yes, and it's through the side of the building.
Okay. The ATM machine was removed, I guess, after the branch was closed?
I assume so, yeah.
Okay. And you'd like to put a new ATM machine in the same location
It's the exact same location.
and utilize the drive-through lanes as was previously approved by this board.
Correct.
No change really whatsoever, just resuming the use that had been conducted there for 20-some years before the citizens closed the branch, correct?
Yes.
Just talk a little bit about the importance to the bank of having a drive-through lane and access to an ATM machine.
Yeah, drive-up lane, it's convenience. It's convenience for customers. The ATM machine allows the 24-hour access, very convenient. I mean, it comes at a big expense for a bank, which I'm sure is why Citizens pulled it out of the wall. Normally, you lease those machines, so once they close the building, they're not going to continue paying a lease on a piece of equipment to sit in a dormant building. It's a service that we provide. We feel the customers want it. Many families can't take small kids out of the car, what have you. They want to go to a drive-up. Many times you see 6 cars at the drive-up and you see nobody inside the building, right? It's a convenience factor, and we see it in banking all the time. So, and the drive-up just allows greater flexibility that people can show up, outside of normal banking hours.
Okay. One of the other variances you're seeking is to install or erect a monument sign along the Bloomfield Avenue entrance to the site, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and are you aware that there was previously a sign there approved by this board, a similar monument sign?
Yes.
And you're looking to put this new sign in essentially the same location?
Yes.
Okay. And plans, I think the board has the plans, we submitted them with the application and have the details, the specifications, the dimensions of the proposed sign. And that sign is to be internally illuminated, correct?
Yes, backlit internally.
Okay. Similar to the sign that was previously there, is that correct, to your knowledge?
To my knowledge.
Yeah, okay. All right, and then third variance that's being sought relates to the flagpole that's been installed at the corner of West Lincoln and Bloomfield Avenue. Liberty Bank installed that flagpole, correct?
Yes, we hired a flagpole company to do it.
Okay,
Correct.
and approximately when was the pole installed?
Third week in January.
Okay. And you're aware, you've been cited by the zoning officer for a violation that the pole exceeds the permitted height of 20 feet, correct?
Yes.
And we're seeking a variance for that. And again, the pole is already there. It would remain in that location. And hopefully the board would grant approval for the additional height.
Yes.
That's right. All right, and then the last variance that we applied for relates to window signage. Can you talk a little bit about that, what it is you're actually seeking?
Yeah, so there are a couple of windows that are on what I'll call the front corner of the building facing Bloomfield Avenue, one facing the parking lot more as you're coming down Bloomfield Avenue, the other one on the front. Very large windows. We're looking to put up what I'll call signs for specials that we're offering at that particular time. They would not stay up forever. It might be that today it's a 4% CD, then when that rate goes away, then there may be the sign about, 3% money market. Maybe some kind of a loan special if we run a loan special. But basically some type of marketing in the windows which is typical with many retailers. That's why we pay a premium to be on the first floor, because we want to be able to promote our business, and to have signage and to have windows and the whole definition of window shoppers. And we feel that the 25% would be very difficult for people to see. And it would probably cause more traffic problems, people trying to read a 25% coverage signage than it would a 50% signage.
Okay. And you provided me with some photos you took of nearby properties that seem to have an abundance of window signage, correct?
That's correct.
Yeah, and I mistakenly gave Dee Dee all of my copies of the exhibits and forgot to retain one for myself. So if I could get a copy back, I'd just have Mr. Spengler identify a couple of these photos, which is the last exhibit, or the last exhibit in the group of exhibits I handed out a few minutes ago. And there's 2 photographs here. Did you take these 2 photographs?
Yes.
Okay, and just tell the board, and when were they taken?
Probably 2 or 3 weeks ago.
Okay, and just indicate for the board what properties are depicted there and what your intention is in providing those photos to the board.
These were just other properties on Bloomfield Avenue that had quite a bit more than 25% coverage. There's one that I don't see here, which I know I recognize because it was a building that I see out the window. It's directly across the street from us. It's a gray two-story building, if it's in your photos. It's not with these two, but,
Right, I got that one too.
yeah, these are further down on Bloomfield Avenue.
Okay.
That's the one across the street.
And so you're seeking permission to have up to 50% of windows?
Of two windows.
Two windows, yeah. I just want to ask you to identify the two windows you're talking about. I mean, I have the group of 5 photos that the board has, and, you know, I marked these with numbers in the upper left, right-hand column, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, although it looks like some didn't copy well. But can you just indicate the windows that you're talking about from those photographs?
This is number
Three.
3. So if you look at photo 3, all the way on the left side, there's a large window that is on the front corner facing Bloomfield Avenue and our parking lot. It would be that window. So left, far left on 3. Then if you look at 4, the other side, the front of the building, the same office has the window all the way on the right side. So it would be that one on the right. Similar size window facing frontage directly on Bloomfield Avenue.
So the windows are kind of next to each other, though one faces
They're
Bloomfield
part of the
Avenue.
same office, yeah.
Yeah, and one faces westbound.
So, Mr. Tremblay, that would be the northwesterly office, so you could identify that in the resolution? Is that
Sure.
It's closest to the intersection of Fairview?
Correct.
Right, okay, so the
Yep,
northwesterly,
Northwest.
and that's one office with 2 windows?
Right. One window faces Bloomfield Avenue, the other one faces, I guess, West Lincoln Street, faces westbound. Okay. And the signage that you would propose to put in those windows if the board grants the variance would be temporary signage advertising?
Advertising product specials, what we feel was the most advantageous product that we had in the market at that time.
And the signs would change?
They would rotate out as rates change and as products change, time of the season changes.
Okay. And you provided the other photographs to demonstrate that there are other properties nearby that have what appear to be significantly more than 25%?
Correct.
Window signage, correct?
And just for the record, you provided those other photos without asking the board to go and cite them for building code violations.
Oh, that's correct, yes.
For clarification, they are all getting notices to reduce their window coverage because they were all either not approved at all or were approved by a previous zoning officer erroneously.
Thank you, Kevin.
The last thing, I want to ask you a series of questions to address some issues that were mentioned in the review memorandum that we received from the township engineer. So you've already indicated that there haven't been any changes made to the exterior of the building except for putting up signage that,
Correct. We've put 2 signs on the outside of the building at this
but
point.
no other changes to the exterior of the building?
No.
And no changes to the site?
No,
parking
the
area?
footprint, the only thing we did cap the parking lot and put new lines down on the parking lot. You couldn't see a lot of the lines. It was not a safe condition.
So the lot's been restriped and
It's been striped,
resurfaced?
yep.
Okay. Is there any new mechanical equipment that's been added to the building?
The only thing we had to add were the security cameras inside. The prior bank had cut all the wires and taken those out, so.
There's no new HVAC units or generators or anything? of
No.
the like? Okay. How does the bank handle waste and recycling?
Our cleaning company takes it off-site. We pay them an additional fee and they remove that.
Okay, that's done every time they're there for cleaning, they just.
Correct.
throw away?
Yep.
Just a quick question on that. Where is the waste stored? Is it inside the building and brought up when it's like time for pickup?
They take it out daily. They take
So
it
it's
out when they
stored
clean
inside?
every day. Yeah. They empty the baskets and just take bags with them.
So they remove it from the site every,
Correct. Yeah, there is no retainage or storage or anything.
And I think the last question I already asked you, that the proposed monument sign you were seeking approval for would be internally illuminated.
Yes, same as the other signs on the building.
Can I just, for a point of clarification, the monument sign that was there previously was actually located where the flagpole was installed, and your proposed monument sign is closer to the bank where the previous flagpole existed.
I apologize. I thought the monument sign was.
No, the monument sign was actually at the corner of Bloomfield and West Lincoln, actually where the flagpole and I believe the lighting that was illuminated, the monument sign is still there by the flagpole.
My mistake. I apologize. It's a similar sign, but at a different location. Okay. That's all the questions I have for Mr. Spangler.
Okay, so I did come onto the property earlier to take a look. Can you confirm in the drive-through lanes, you said there's 3 lanes. The ATM is going to be at the leftmost, like touching the building, and then I'm assuming the drive-through teller with the air chute would be in the middle lane, and the third lane would be to pass through the exits?
Correct. Yeah, the ATM is going to be actually in the bank building, serviced from the inside of the building. And then, so that is the first lane on the left. Okay. And then there's a tube for the center lane, and the far right lane is the bypass.
Correct. Okay. And there is a lane starting from the parking lot, or at least the driveway, that allows through traffic to go all the way through, that if there are multiple, let's say 4 cars waiting in line for the ATM, the vehicles that are looking to exit could still bypass the...
Yeah, there's an exit lane that goes all the way around the back of the building. There's 2 lanes. So there's one for the activity, and then the one on the right is the exit lane.
Okay, great. Could we talk about the flagpole? So you put that in, I know it's, over the height. Is there, Kathleen, I guess a question for you, is there a restriction on flag size?
Flagpoles are actually not permitted in the town center, so we go with the accessory structure, and that's what it comes where it's over. Flagpoles are only allowed at 20. We don't even allow them in the town center, and this is 25.
But what I'm saying is, right now there's just a pole. There's no flag on the flagpole.
There is no flag on the flagpole, primarily because the flagpole was erected with no permits, so therefore it didn't have any building permits associated with it. So because it wasn't approved by building, there was no flag allowed to be flown on it until that period of time.
So I guess what I'm asking is, if we do approve the variance, is there a limit to the size flag they could put on the flagpole?
I believe there is in the ordinance, yeah.
It is content a consideration too, because it's basically another sign.
We don't consider it a sign. Flags are different. We allow certain ones, but I'm sure I would have to look in the code to see what the size of it was. I don't know if there is, dependent upon the size of the flagpole, I'm not a flagpole expert, if there's
Could we cut to the chase here, maybe?
as far as the size of the flag versus the size of the pole, I don't know.
To follow up on Mr. Weston's point, if we approve the variance on the flagpole, would you agree to abide by any township ordinance as to the size of the flag or the number of flags that could be placed on a flagpole?
Yes.
That's not a sarcastic question, right?
No.
Okay.
I mean, on this it says maximum flag size. If this is what they're referring to, this is maximum flag size, 5 foot by 8 foot.
And just so
on this, 5 by 8.
Just so it's clear, the intention is to hang the American flag there, not hang a flag.
Oh, I'd like to get that on, and I'd like to get that on the record, which you just did.
Yes. Okay. Want to make it clear, that's the intention.
You wouldn't want the flag to go over the property line, right? It's on the corner right there, and the direction.
So have you researched your intent on the flag and flag size? You mentioned your American flag you're looking to put there. Do you know what flag size you're intending to put on the property?
Whatever is allowable. We will not exceed whatever the size limit.
I'd like to ask you a question. What is your reason for needing a flag this high? And since you are asking for a monument that would advertise your business, why do you need a large flagpole with a flag on it there? Is there any particular reason that you need it?
Typically, banks do have flags. I mean, it's very common for banks to have a flag and a flagpole, and it's not to advertise the bank. We are a federally insured institution, and people like seeing, that their bank is federally insured, and a flag kind of goes with a bank. I don't think I've ever worked at a bank that didn't have a flag at our branches.
Does Chase have a flag?
On the building.
That's another supply.
It's on the top of the building. If I could question Kathleen again. Kathleen, am I correct in understanding that the flagpole was installed without a permit being obtained?
Yes.
Okay. And so this sort of, it brought this question to the fore in terms of the need for the variance. Okay.
Correct.
So there's two problems. The flagpole shouldn't be there in the first place. This is why we're giving the variance.
Right, so the
But
property.
there's also an issue with the height of it?
Right, so the property did have a flagpole on it at one point, and that flagpole was removed. This flagpole was erected, and honestly, somebody just drove by and saw it being put up, and we didn't have the permit for it. But yes, it is.
Do we know if this flagpole that's up now is taller than the one that was removed?
I do not know.
Okay.
Do you know what the size was of the previous freestanding sign, like the monument sign?
I think I do. I don't think it's recited in the resolutions. However, I did have on my computer and printed out, and hopefully I'll be able to find it, the legal notices that were sent out back in 2006 when we came in to modify the original approval, and there was a change in the size of the sign. And my recollection, I can't put my hands on those notices now, but I believe it was a two-sided sign similar to this, and I believe the sign area was 18 square feet, like 6 by 3. The sign is a little bit bigger and also has a base, which really isn't part of the sign itself, but it's part of the structure.
Yeah, so I mean, I was looking at the sign dimensions, and I believe it's including the base, like 7 by 5.
Right.
To me, I feel like that's kind of a large sign. I'd be, especially more on the height, but I'm sure you will probably want things to be more in proportion. It just seems as though 5 feet is higher than I would expect for a kind of that type of freestanding sign, particularly given kind of the location as the property does kind of slope as well. So would you be open to reducing the scale of the size? Maybe something 4 feet high?
I have a follow-up question to that. Speaking of site triangles, I mean, this is just an ingress, right? It's not an egress. It's, exit through this. So that's not quite as concerning, I suppose, but I don't know. I mean, do we have any concerns about this obstructing, people kind of just walking from the parking spaces that are right up on Bloomfield Avenue into the entrance? I mean, it just seems like it's awfully big and would block a lot of that view.
I agree.
I know that the monument sign has to be set back from the property line, but that was something that we asked for clarification. I believe in the zoning letter, that what is the actual setback distance for the proposed monument sign?
We haven't shown it on the survey or site plan, but looking at the photograph that you have, it's proposed to be set back about 2 feet from the sidewalk. Now, if it needs to be set back a greater distance, obviously, you will comply with whatever.
I believe there is a setback requirement in the code for the monument sign.
Kathleen would know. I mean, it's not. Oh, okay.
And talking about side triangles, the flagpole as well, it has to be, I believe for the TC zone, it's 5 feet. You go in either direction of the property line and you create that triangle. So we would just have to make sure that flagpole is outside that side triangle.
And we would agree as a condition of approval to provide the dimensions on, a revised survey or site plan showing that we comply. We're not in the site triangle.
I'm looking, I'm not sure it's in the code because of not allowing monument signs. It's probably not in the code where they should be because we don't allow them.
We don't allow them here.
I even found where they're allowed, so I'm looking in the code for that. But again, if they're not allowed, right, we're not going to find them, and we're not going to find a setback for it.
That was
Yeah.
my thought also. If they're not permitted, why would you have a setback requirement?
Yeah. So we could set a setback requirement as a condition of approval if we decided to approve the variance, correct?
Or you could make it subject to engineering approval.
Approval or review by Boswell. So you could come up with a recommendation, you think, if we approve the variance, as to how far back the monument sign should be from the sidewalk?
Yeah.
You would be comfortable doing that? I mean, based upon your experience, maybe with other towns that allow monument signs?
Yeah. Usually, I would say 5 feet setback from the property line is a good setback for a monument sign, for it to be from the property line.
But again, here we have a sidewalk, so it would be, not sure where the property line is with regard to the right of way.
The right of way, it would be from the end of the sidewalk into the property, boundary of the property line.
Because the sidewalk would be in the right of way.
Yes,
The sidewalk in the.
But we don't, but every street's different.
Yeah, I think we have it on their survey though.
Well, that's why if you left it up to Sarpine, then depending on, rather than say so many feet, we don't know the exact situation of where the property line begins.
We have their survey, so we see the property.
Okay.
I think if you set it 5 feet from the sidewalk, it's gonna really not lose it, and, lose its effectiveness really as a sign. It's gonna be really tucked back.
Yeah.
You've got the street, you've got, the driveway apron, you've got sidewalk, and then you've got a couple of feet into the landscape island where it's positioned. Not sure what's the concern about leaving it where it's proposed to be. Doesn't interfere with anything, I don't believe. And again, there's no setback requirement.
Okay, so item 6 on the Seraphine's report really is not accurate because there is no setback requirement.
Yeah, she's just asking us to show.
Show it
what
at some
is,
point.
which we're happy to do.
Do that, okay.
Yeah.
How about did we address point 8 on this about any illumination?
Yes,
Okay.
sign would be internally illuminated.
I have a couple of questions. So you mentioned in your testimony that a lot of these smaller banks have closed. What is the trajectory of Liberty then? And because again, to Mr. Tremulak's point, the variances follow the property. If we grant this, then we're granting it forever.
So our trajectory is to grow. We've submitted a 3-year business plan to the FDIC that shows us adding new branches every 12 to 16 months. Our lease runs 21 years from 2020, so we have a lease obligation under the building for whatever's left under that original lease, 16 more years, 15 years.
Okay, and then you also mentioned, drive-up business and whatnot. In the day and age of, online banking, most of the stuff I do with my phone.
Yes.
Although I totally have sympathy for moms with small children who don't want to get them out of the car. So I'm just wondering about the frequency with which that is demanded.
The traffic at all branches has fallen off dramatically. So you're correct. Normally you don't see lines of traffic at drive-ups. You don't have the Thursday evening, everybody running into cash checks and, lines of people in banks. Pretty much people go to banks now for advice, for complex transactions, but most transactions that are done on your phone or done on your laptop. That's correct. So the volume of transactions is, probably off 80% as far as what's done in a branch. But people still want to see their bank, right? They want to know that the bank exists. There's a certain security level of knowing that they have a physical bank and a place they can go when they do have an issue and they have a problem. So you will not see us on every street corner up and down Bloomfield Avenue every mile and a half, because you don't need that anymore. That's a 30-year-old business plan.
I'm going to ask you a hypothetical question. If that window did not already exist, okay, this may be a little unfair, but I'll ask it anyway. Would you want to put it in? In other words, if that drive-up teller concept, quite frankly, in my experience, is sort of, gone by the boards. The ATM, I agree with you. Many banks have drive-up ATMs, but the existence of a drive-up teller, I think that's sort of been correct me if I'm wrong, but that's sort of been on the decline in recent years.
Correct.
Okay.
Right. If we had to go through the expense to build one, right, if we end up just buying a piece of land and we had to design and build a building, this whole building probably would have been a little bit smaller. It would need to be 2,811 square feet. The teller stand, there can be 5 tellers there right now. We had a proposal from a company to come in, move it out forward, reduce it down to 2, allow access around the side so it kind of has this warm and comfortable feeling. And they came in and said it was going to be $350,000 because we were going to have to run.
My concerns are basically traffic. I know that Mr. Tremulak lays out, and this is the quandary that this board always goes through. We're not supposed to be governed by precedent, yet virtually every attorney that comes up here and presents a case to us cites a precedent. And then I have to ask Mr. Becerra, is that, are we bound by precedent or not, or can we make, in other words, if we thought those last boards made a bad decision, do we necessarily have to go along with it again?
Well, as a member of that last board,
you and I don't always agree on everything most of the time.
I seem to recall a lot of discussion by the traffic engineers about the drive-through and the fact that the exit onto Bloomfield Avenue was two-way, but it should have been going right, but it created a problem because the drive-through people had to come out and zig lanes, and the people coming in the through lane had to get over to the drive-through window to get into their lane.
And to give you your props, this was back in what, in 2004? Okay. Traffic has gotten a heck of a lot worse in 2026. At least I've lived in the town since 1985, so I have some personal experience. And whenever we get traffic experts up there, I challenge them because they sit here for 3 hours. And I know they have all the credentials, they've got degrees in this study and that study, but there's nothing to me to replace actual experience in driving up and down Bloomfield Avenue. I went into your parking lot today, just full disclosure, and I drove through, because I wanted to see, and it was about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And anybody who wanted to make a left turn out of that parking lot, okay, onto, across Bloomfield, I'm not even sure whether it's legal. You'd be crossing double lines. I'm just saying, these are the things that are in my head. If that's a county road, I don't know whether they would have a problem with somebody making a left turn now. So another hypothetical, if we approved the use of the lanes and restricted it to just a right turn only out of there, would you think you would have a problem with that?
I don't believe so. I wouldn't personally make a left-hand turn out of there, so.
Okay, no, but because you can go left if you go out on your West Lincoln exit. But I know you can't do that through the drive-through. If you're in the parking lot, somebody can.
Correct.
Can go out, go up West Lincoln, and just, go up to the traffic light and make a safe left-hand turn onto Bloomfield Avenue. So we're really talking about the drive-through being a potential, traffic issue that, to fairness to you, did not exist as severely in 2004 as it exists.
We were looking at a gas station.
Yeah.
At that time.
But just on that point, Mayor, there may be more traffic on Bloomfield Avenue, but there's less traffic really coming from the bank, as Mr. Spangler just said.
No, but it would only take one car doing something stupid, Mr. Tremblay, to cause an accident. We've had a lot of, in Bloomfield Avenue in this town, we've had some severe traffic incidents, mostly down by the park, granted.
I understand.
But it's something that, as a responsible member of the board, I have to take that into consideration when I'm looking at it.
It's an interesting point, though, because per your comment before, the granting of the variance in 2004 or 6 or whatever it was made sense with that business model, right? Because people were using those all the time, and now they're not using them anymore.
Well, thank you, Christie, for understanding what I was trying to say. Thank you. No problem.
Okay, I'm sorry to be derailed there. So I heard that there was some construction that was related to this ATM and teller station, correct? So the ATM would be where the existing window is?
It's before that window. As you're pulling up to the building, the ATM space was actually before the window on the left side.
Okay. Okay, is there any lighting that's proposed here? I mean, anything that's going to shine into the neighbor's, property at night?
There's lighting for the parking lot outside. I mean, there are lights around the parking lot for security.
There's no new lighting that's proposed
No.
from what's already there.
Okay.
Correct?
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. On the photos, you can't see the ATM location. They did a great job. It took me a while just to find where it was that they took out the old ATM. So it's hard to actually see unless you're there.
Okay.
You will most likely have to increase that center island to hold the ATM, the bollards.
Well, I think he testified to the ATM would be right up against the building, and then
Oh,
the,
the
and
ATMs
then
would be
the
up against
teller.
the building.
Yeah, it's going to be through the wall of the building, yeah.
So the
Not
teller's
freestanding.
through pneumatic tubes, and then
Yep, the
with
tube
just
is
some
there
sort of
now.
a camera or something like that.
Correct. Yep.
That would also be the only ATM for a walk-up as well, or do you have something in the lobby?
No, that would be the only ATM.
So if someone just chose to go up to the street though and just walk up there and use the ATM, then we maybe have another issue if there was a car that swung around and came from this, in use of the ATM. Possible.
Possible.
I'm looking at the picture with the two lanes now. The ATM, you would be putting that before the window or after the window?
Before the window as you pull in. Yep. It's kind of in the brighter spot if you're looking at that picture.
I see where we have the green cone. I'm looking at the one picture where there's a green cone and an orange cone.
Yes, right to the side of that green cone would be the location of the ATM.
Was there any consideration to painting this building?
Yes, it was discussed because it does blend in very well. Yes, it does.
We actually approved making them blended in. That,
Good job.
that whole motif.
Hence the need to have a sign because it does blend in, yes.
Question, where the monument sign is proposed, is that where the previous flagpole was?
Yes, that's why it was taken down.
Okay. And then this picture where there is a flagpole, that's the one that is depicted in this, whatever,
It's photo 5 in the group of photos.
yeah, this one, that's the one that we have the detailed, like, that's what this one is, right?
I think so.
The Gates flag and banner, that's who put this in?
Yes.
Okay. Now, is there, because obviously where the monument sign is, that was the illumination for it, is there going to be illumination for this flagpole, or?
Yes, it's existing in the ground there now.
Okay.
I'm sort of back to the drive-through again, and just to, maybe it's a question for clarification for Mr. Macera, or, I know, for example, on the drive-through ATM on the Chase Bank on the other side of the street, when you come out of there, there is definitely a no left-hand turn, I'm pretty sure, it's sign. You have to turn right. Now, I don't know whether that was done by ordinance or whether or not somebody from Chase just decided it would be a good idea. I don't know whether we could do some research on that. Kathleen, are you aware if is that technically in an ordinance, or does somebody just put a sign on?
Not if it's not in, who
No,
owns the property?
I don't think it's in the ordinance. I don't know about the Chase one. I know the one, what is it? Flagstar, that's next to the municipal building. That one, when you come out of the drive-through, you can only make a right. You can't make a left. But I don't know.
If that was just their choice or
I
whether or
have,
not.
yeah,
If
I
it's
don't
on
know.
private property, then it can't be by ordinance.
Okay. Okay. Well, could we put that in, if we approved,
Stipulation.
could we stipulate that
Condition,
that the bank put a no left-hand?
Sure.
The only comment I would make, Mayor, on that, and just to mention it, I'm not objecting to what you're proposing, but I know from what I remember back to 2004, that there was some concern at that time by various board members about traffic looping around, I guess it's, East Lincoln to West Lincoln, because I think it goes around.
Yeah, no, you're never going to please everybody, Mr. Tremblay.
I'm just pointing out that, people who want to go westbound are going to make a right, and then they're going to go
It
around.
certainly would cause them more inconvenience, but I just think it's a safer way to go.
I understand.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
We talk about the temporary signage. I guess we haven't talked about that yet. We move on to that.
We're at the point of asking questions of the,
Okay, well, I'll ask Mr. Stengler then. In spite of the fact that we have maybe a few people violating our ordinances already, I don't necessarily think that's a good reason to allow you to do it. Okay, so you're going to have to convince me that what would be so onerous for you to comply with the ordinance. We do allow some signage, correct? Just it has to be
25%
of the window. Okay. Why do you think that would be such a detriment to your business?
We could comply. I think it would actually cause traffic problems and such, because I don't think 25% is big enough for people to see.
Okay.
So I think actually cars would slow down, hopefully stop, because we have such great products. I don't know. But I think for a visual, I think 25 would actually be too small, and I think it would cause, people would have to walk like right up to the building to see it. So I think it would cause problems.
And I ask this question once again, because we sort of have contention here in many instances when we review these cases, where this board has sort of been accused sometimes of being too liberal, okay, when it comes to granting relief on some cases, because our ordinances stipulate a certain thing, and we don't necessarily agree with the ordinance. So I think we also would like to provide feedback sometimes to the people who are actually writing the ordinances. If that 25% limit, or whatever it is really unrealistic, let's just get rid of the damn thing. So we don't have people coming in here and having us discussing it for, a half hour, or being accused of not living up to the intent of the master plan or whatever. Personally, I happen to agree with you. I think a small smile might cause more problems than a bigger one.
Question for you, Kathleen, does this contribute to the overall allowable signage?
No, it's
It's separate, so they can have the building signage, the window signage is separate.
Okay.
So there would be two things. One would be the percentage of the window that could be covered, and I believe the intention is to change those out as needed. So where it's usually 25% for the permanent signage in the window, and then there is temporary signage that's allowed for 30 days. So you would be looking at whatever percentage of the window you would grant as a variance if you choose to, and then you would also have to allow that signage could be changed out frequently without having to get a temporary sign permit from the zoning office.
And you want a rotating variance, basically, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And can you describe what this signage would look like? Because the one, like, for example, on the wine cellar, on that storefront there, it almost becomes a wall because of the nature of the graphic. So what would yours look like?
Ours would be a product or something that we're offering, so it would be some combination of text and numbers, and that would have the time constraint because it would only be applicable for a certain period of time. But, certain time of the year, it may say, IRA, just because it's IRA season. Or, it could be a certain time of year where, it's, home loans because it's summer fix-up time. So, or it could be an interest rate, 4% because that's a market interest rate at that time. So I would envision these moving as the season moves.
And you didn't provide an example of that in your exhibits, am I correct? Like from another bank or something as to where, have you done this in other locations?
Yes, I've done it at both banks that I've worked at prior.
Did you have to get a variance to go into, just out of my own curiosity?
I do not recall.
No, so wherever you did it, it was an allowable coverage.
I know in Red Bank it was allowable, I can
Okay.
say that, yes.
Okay, just curious, yeah.
So how would you hang the sign? Would it be like something that sticks to the window? Would it be, kind of mounted with a hook on the?
It would probably be mounted in a hook to the framing of the window on the inside. This way we could take it down, take it out, replace it.
Had you given any consideration to putting the monument where the old one was and the flagpole where the old one was?
The one issue, we did talk about that, but that monument was so far away from the building that when people were coming up Bloomfield Avenue, by the time they saw the monument, they were already past the building, past the driveway. So we were concerned that then people were already past us, and then they see the sign for us. And now, they're trying to make a quick left or do something else. We thought that was more confusing, being that far away from the building.
If I recall the discussion previously, the fact that they could still see it if they were in the right lane, if they were in the outside lane, they could still see it and make the turn onto West Lincoln and come in that way. And that it was kind of a marker more for the people coming east on Bloomfield Avenue.
I would tend to agree with that
That's
because
which way.
if anybody's parking in that first spot, they're going to block that sign.
And the truck that you have parked in the picture
Right.
blocks it, people coming
Yep.
the other direction. And you
The
wouldn't have
other,
as far to walk.
the other part is that's also a low spot on the property. So down there, the sign gets, it's closer, it's down further. I guess back to the point of the size of the sign. That's why we went a little bit larger, because it is a low point on the property down there.
I am somewhat sympathetic, you'll have, Mr. Chairman, to the fact that you did approve the fact that because of, I can see traffic on Bloomfield Avenue going westbound. The bank is not really that prominent, okay? It's, so they would catch the monument and hopefully in time to make a legitimate turn onto West Lincoln and come in, on that part of the, but I'm going to echo the chairman's point about why don't we just put it back exactly where it was?
And for the record, Kevin?
Yes.
That was a 4-3 vote.
Oh, okay.
But it did get through.
Yep.
Other questions for our President and CEO? Is there anyone from the public who has a question of our applicant on the testimony he's presented so far this evening? Seeing none, Counselor, you had another witness?
Yes, George Williams, please.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams, could you state your name and business address for the record, please?
Certainly. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is George Weedle Williams. The address is 105 Grove Street, Montclair, New Jersey.
Could you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I most certainly do.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Williams, you're a licensed professional planner in the state of New Jersey.
I am.
And when were you licensed?
A long time ago. It's in my wallet. It's been several decades.
Longer than you can remember.
Yes.
Just briefly provide your educational background, your professional qualifications.
Certainly.
For the board.
I completed my graduate studies at the Rutgers Graduate School, now known as the Bloustein School for Planning and Public Policy. Just to date myself a little bit, I've been practicing the field of professional planning for a little over 30 years, with a primary focus on land use, obviously, as well as community and economic development planning. My firm does work in the preparation of master plans, zoning ordinances, redevelopment plans, planning for sustainability and civic engagement. I have appeared before numerous boards throughout the state of New Jersey to offer expert witness testimony. I'm particularly proud of my term on my hometown zoning board of adjustment as a volunteer as well.
Okay. And
I'm nationally certified by the American Institute of Certified Planners.
Okay, and you currently serve as a board planner for municipalities in the state of New Jersey?
I do. Currently representing the Hoboken Planning Board and Zoning Board, the Bloomfield Zoning Board. My firm represents other municipalities, including the city of Newark, Orange, East Orange, and Plainfield.
Okay, and you've appeared before planning boards and zoning boards throughout the state of New Jersey?
Yes, I have.
It's probably your first time here?
I believe I've been here once before.
Okay, and your license is in good standing?
It is.
Okay. Offering him as a witness, expert in the field of professional.
For the record, Mr. Williams, have you been engaged by this board to
I have.
review a certain property?
Yes, several years ago I did.
Thank
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Mr. Williams, would you just describe for the board what you reviewed in preparation for your testimony this evening?
Certainly, I approach this application the way we approach every land use application that begins with a review of the local land use documents, in this case, your 2022 master plan, your land development ordinance, and all of that in the context of the municipal land use law. Of course, I did review the site plan application. There's no site plan as part of this matter, but I did review the application. I and my staff have visited the site. Being from Montclair and working in Montclair, I'm very familiar with Bloomfield Avenue and Verona, so I've been to the site numerous times. I also conducted some review of the case law and planning literature in support of our application this evening, and was able to review read the review memo that was authored in January 2026.
Okay. Do you want I don't think that you need to spend too much time describing the property, but to the extent it's relevant to your testimony, would you, just briefly review the property itself and then, what's being proposed by the applicant?
Certainly, very briefly, for foundation purposes only, the property is commonly referred to as 725 Bloomfield Avenue. It's identified in your municipal tax records as block 1608, lot number 10, and as you've heard, it is located in the town center zone district, formerly the CBD, or community central business district. And as you've heard, both in your review memo and in council's introductory comments, the TC does permit banks and other financial institutions. It just does not include drive-through facilities or ATMs as part of those permitted uses. And so this application is for the continuation of that use as a bank with the drive-through facility and the other release that you mentioned earlier, the signage for the window signs, the monument sign that's been discussed, and the flagpole.
Okay. So with that background, can you discuss the individual variances that are being sought and provide your opinion as to whether the applicant meets the required proofs for the granting of those variances?
And certainly, I'll just echo very briefly council's comment about the abandonment of the use. We've applied for a D1 variance, so we're covered via our notice. We're comfortable with the provision of the proofs in large part because of the 2004 and 2006 approvals for the same use and site layout. In terms of the D1 use variances, well, before I get there, very quickly, again, this application is unique or interesting because I'll be giving you testimony in support of something you approved in 2004. That's why the testimony of the bank representative was so important to establish that there are no changes to the operation of this bank use, including the drive-through use. And there are really no site changes other than the swap of the bank flag location and the monument location. In terms of the general impact on the surrounding area, again, unique because the use exists and has existed for since 2004. So we have some empirical data that the site is suitable for this particular use, including the drive-through facility. And in the 2004 resolution of approval, some of the language that was captured will inform what you'll hear from me as well, or will comport with what I'm about to say. It found that the ATM drive-through is generally accepted as an accessory to the principal use, that use being the bank. The site is well regulated at the site by traffic signals at an intersection that has not changed. And I know there was some colloquy about the change in vehicular volumes on Bloomfield and versus a decrease at the drive-through. The proposed sign package was deemed intended to advance traffic safety and enhance visibility, and that the benefits of that 2004 approval outweighed any potential detriment. You'll hear me repeat that when I get to the proofs in a moment for this application. Similarly, in 2006, the resolution of approval found that the sign package, which included the monument sign, also had benefits that outweighed any detriment. So that's just by way of establishing some context for the remainder of my testimony, which will focus on the requisite statutory proofs. As this board knows, for a D1 use variance, the municipal land use law requires both the showing of the positive criteria and the negative criteria. As you know, for the positive criteria, special reasons have to be adduced. Those special reasons can be the use is inherently beneficial, that the site is particularly suitable for the use, that purposes of zoning would be advanced, and last but not least, if you were to deny the application, that would constitute an undue hardship for the applicant. Those positive criteria then balance against the negative criteria. This board knows it's a two-pronged test. The first prong is that if you were to grant our relief for the continuation of the use of this site for a bank with an ATM drive-through service, there would be no substantial detriment to the public good, and there would be no substantial impairment to the zone plan. That word substantial comes directly from the municipal land use law. With that as context, I repeat once again, the same proofs that you deemed appropriate in 2004 are going to flow through to this application. In my professional opinion, this site is particularly suitable for the proposed and continued bank with its drive-through facility, given the corner lot, the intersection traffic signalization, which has been deemed to be appropriate given the proximity to the drive-through lanes, and last but not least, of course, it is or has existed as a bank with a drive-through facility for decades. In terms of purposes of zoning, in my opinion, at least two purposes of zoning would be advanced. Subsection A, which is the first, and I quote, to encourage municipal action to guide the appropriate use or development of all lands in the state in a manner which will promote the public health, safety, morals, and general welfare. It's a bit of a catch-all, but I submit that it is appropriate for this application for a couple of reasons. Certainly, the welfare is advanced when we remove a vacancy on a busy commercial corridor in your TC, the zone district. And secondly, the layout and design of the site, as previously approved, is intended to promote health and safety, particularly in terms of traffic movements on site and off. Subsection I, to create or promote a desirable visual environment and good civic design. Again, this was part of the earlier approval. The board deemed the site as being designed appropriately for this use being both the bank and the ATM drive-through aisles, in addition to the other site plan amenities. Again, no site plan is before you this evening, but I would submit to the board that subsection I would be advanced if you were to approve our application. Getting to the negative criteria, no substantial detriment to public good. Again, we have the benefit of the empirical data having a bank with the drive-through facility for several decades with no negative impact. I would submit that if the board approved this application for Liberty Bank with the same layout, there would certainly be no substantial detriment to the public good, since there has been none thus far. And I would add there would be no detriment to the public good if you were to approve our application. The second prong, no substantial impairment to the zone plan, similar to 2004, although the municipality has updated their master plan, I would submit the same holds true. In fact, as I looked at the master plan, there are a couple of elements or goals that would actually be advanced if you were to approve our application for the bank with the ATM drive-through. Land use element goal number 5, promote growth in appropriate areas that meet current and future land use trends. Certainly by approving this application, removing a vacancy on Bloomfield Avenue and providing appropriate development on Bloomfield Avenue would be advanced. Similarly, economic development goal number 1, continue to ensure Bloomfield Avenue is vibrant and attractive downtown. In my professional opinion, if you were to grant this relief, that goal would also be advanced. Commissioners, with that, I would submit that there is sufficient proof for your consideration for the granting of the D variance. That takes us then to the C variances, and as this board knows, there are two contexts within which to deliberate or consider the release. The first is the C1, or traditional hardship context. That is showing that the site is peculiarly shaped, unique topography, or structures lawfully thereon do not allow for compliance with the code, strict compliance with the code. The other is considered the C2, or flexible C, and that allows the board to consider if the benefits of granting the relief outweigh any detriment, if what we are proposing is a better zoning alternative, and of course, again, showing that if you were to grant the relief for the signage and the flagpole, there would be no substantial detriment to the public good. And I would submit to the board that the C2 is the appropriate context for your consideration this evening. Before getting to those proofs, I did look at some planning literature. Our office often refers to the signage handbook, just to give some context for the signage plan that's being proposed today. And in the signage handbook, it speaks to the importance of branding for businesses in commercial districts for site identification. And it was interesting to hear our bank representatives speak to you about the change in tenancy at the site and how important it is, particularly for community banks, to make sure that they are branded properly in this competitive world. And that led in part to their selection of the signage package, including the monument sign, taking cues from what was approved in 2006 and adjusting it to better suit their needs in terms of visibility. The signage handbook actually suggests that branding is almost essential to the competitiveness of many commercial uses. The signage book also suggests, in terms of sizes, which we'll get to shortly, that it's important that good sign plans are conspicuous, legible, and readable, meaning that, to our bank representative's point, passersby, whether pedestrian or vehicular, can easily read and understand the signage that's being displayed. That too informed the selection of this sign package, and you heard the representative say the hope was to make it enhance safety rather than decrease safety. There are a number of court cases that speak to sign relief, particularly in the context of the C2 variance. One is State v. Miller, which speaks to the signs must be large enough to permit viewing from the road, both by persons and in vehicles, going back to my point a moment ago. Valenti v. Obsequian is a bit of a landmark case for that as well. And in that case, the court again found that it was important to allow signs to be of a certain dimension such that they are easily readable by passersby, both vehicular and traffic. And it went further to say that in so doing, you promote safety and health. That being said, for the signage, I'm going to look at them in the aggregate and the C2 context and suggest to this board or submit to the board that if you were to grant our relief for the temporary window signs, and you heard the discussion about that will exceed the allowable dimension, there will be a better zoning alternative for reasons you heard from our bank representative and from the literature I just shared with you, meaning that they'll be more readable, legible, and conspicuous. For the monument sign, also interesting because of the prior approvals in 2006, it was deemed that a monument sign was appropriate for the site, even though the location of that monument sign is changing. I would submit to the board that the permission to have the monument sign still is appropriate. You heard testimony from our bank representative that making sure that the identification of the bank is clear and that the branding is clear given some of the changes that have taken place, not only on the site, but in the banking industry as a whole. Before I get into the purposes of zoning, similarly with the flagpole, I know there is a rich history of flag manufacturing here in Verona with the Annan flag. Our flag happened to be produced by Gates, but my understanding is Annan flag is perhaps the oldest flag manufacturer in the country. The additional 5 feet in height is for a flagpole, and I heard the zoning officer mention in the code, it's considered a structure. I suspect that the code intended its standards for accessory structures to be more akin to pieces with greater massing that might block visibility or light. In this case, it's a flagpole. It will have no negative impact on visibility and certainly not block light or air. and the 5-foot deviation, in my opinion, would be de minimis. Of course, certainly across the street on West Lincoln is a 3 or 4-story building, and so there's no detriment there. In terms of the purposes of zoning, as you know, for C2 context, you have to show the purpose of zoning would be advanced. In my professional opinion, as a planner, subsection I, similar to the section we quoted for the D1, would be advanced because the selection of the sign package was intended to improve safety and make it easier for passerby to identify the site and create a better visual environment by locating that monument sign where it is. So in my opinion, a better zoning alternative than a strict application of your code for all the reasons I've mentioned. In terms of the negative criteria, similar to the D1 use variance, in my opinion, there's no substantial detriment to the public good. Again, the wall signs, for example, being sized appropriately to make them legible and conspicuous is not a negative, it's actually a positive. The location of the monument, for the reasons you heard both from council and from the banking representative, is a better zoning alternative, will have no substantial detriment to the public good. And lastly, in my opinion, there will certainly be no substantial impairment to the zone plan.
Okay, no further questions.
I have a question, Sheriff. Mr. Williams, the height variance, it's more than 10% of the permitted height. Would that trigger a D? Or is it different because it's a structure?
It's different because it's a flagpole. So it's not, it's the permitted height, the maximum height is 20 feet for an accessory structure. We're coming at 25. In my opinion, it would not be a D6, a D5 variance.
D5, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Because what distinguishes it, I mean, from a practical standpoint, I understand, but what distinguishes the flagpole from the height requirement of a building, for instance?
Right. I think it's that in and of itself, in the language or nomenclature, it's not a building, and that's where I went to earlier with the thought about massing, et cetera.
Right, which I certainly concur with that. So in the MLUL, there is that distinction, because the statute requires a D5 if height is more than 10%.
10 feet or 10%.
10 feet or 10%. So what's the authority? I'm not challenging you, I'm asking.
Understood, okay.
Right, okay. What's the authority on that?
Can I jump in here?
Sure.
The statute talks about, quote, height of a principal structure for D6.
So that's the distinction.
That's the distinction, it's
Okay.
not a principal structure.
Okay, yeah. You did have to look it up, right?
I did, yes. I appreciate the challenge.
And this is
It wasn't a challenge, it was a question.
I know.
And he beat me to the punch. It was an interesting question. It gave me pause for a second. I do a lot of work with billboards, for example. And in those cases, the D5 applies.
Thank you. Mr. Williams?
When you consider window coverage, do you consider, like, for instance, our 25% of each individual window, or is it including all the windows?
All.
Okay.
And I heard your zoning officer refer back to the code, and I would agree with that.
Okay. So if you actually backed up all the windows, for instance, if you're just looking at putting big signs in those 2 windows, you may actually not be exceeding 25% of your total windows.
Correct.
Okay. Anybody do the math on that?
I'm certainly not fast enough.
Because you do have a lot of windows in that.
There are quite a few windows, yes.
I appreciate it, really well covered, but you did double down on the idea that, this didn't necessarily potentially need, variances because of the previous one. In the previous one, it was stated that the sign, would provide potential benefits, the visibility, to enhance traffic safety by reducing abrupt maneuvers on the heavily traveled loop of line. That was based on where the previous sign was, at the corner. Now, I believe that we learned some hard lessons a while ago in terms of where along Bloomfield it would be placed. right now, the idea is that it would be much closer to the building, right at the entrance. Would that then not necessarily kind of change that discussion in terms of the potential abruptness of that turn where that monument sign might potentially be placed? And then basically we are entering into a new discussion here from where it was approved to where we need to approve it at this time.
It's a good question, and you heard testimony from our bank representative about why that location would be appropriate for this tenancy. My point is, from a planning perspective, was the use, right? So the 2006 application was to permit a monument sign where none are permitted in the zone. And so my argument would be that that decision by the board should still stand, meaning that the monument sign is appropriate for the site for all the reasons we've discussed. The location of the monument sign, West Lincoln versus where we're proposing now, I didn't delve into too much. I was really more focused on.
And in your past experiences, the location of the sign, how long has that conversation generally been in other your experiences? That's generally a pretty long conversation.
It can be, that's for sure.
Okay, because it has been for us in the past. You talked about,
especially in Montclair.
Here too. You talked about the site location and then kind of entering into potentially a C variance and so on and so forth, undue hardship and so on and so forth. But is that not also potentially, I guess, a conversation here, but also not potentially a self-imposed one because of the determination to make it a drive-through ATM? Could it not just be a walk-up ATM and then take that out of consideration?
I'm not sure I understand the question. So
for just that one portion,
pulling
right?
back in, if I go astray, could the bank determine that an ATM is not needed?
Or
Sure.
could it not be just be a walk-up ATM
Sure.
and that undue hardship because of the site geography not be present?
Well, again, I contend we haven't argued undue hardship. What I've argued is the same proofs that were submitted in 2004 for the ATM drive-through, making that use permitted in the TC zone district would apply to that. So there's no change to the building, no change to the operations. And so I went through the proofs that did not include hardship for why that would work, citing the particular suitability of the site based on some empirical data, right? The decades being there. The purpose of the zoning, and then ended with the negative criteria that if you were to continue that use, there'd be certainly no substantial detriment to the public good because it's been there for decades. Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Does the board have any other questions for our planner? Okay. Is there anyone from the public who has a question of our planner on the testimony he's presented this evening? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Williams.
Thank you, Commissioners, Mr. Chairman.
Good as always. Counselor?
That completes our case, Mr. Chairman. No further witnesses.
Okay. At this point, is there anyone from the public who has a statement they'd like to make about this application? There's nobody standing behind the sign, right?
I wouldn't tell you if there was. No.
We're still working on poor planning. Seeing none, literally, we would move to close the public portion of the meeting and go into board deliberation. I would welcome your thoughts on any of it was 4 variances?
Mr. Chairman, while I had an opportunity to, since we just got them tonight, to actually read the resolutions that Mr. Tremulak had provided us, and I did note, and we really didn't have any discussion about this, the hours of operation are specifically spelled out in the approvals, and maybe this would have been appropriate for Mr. Stengler.
Attorney Black, you have any thoughts?
It's not something we had actually focused on, Mr. Chairman. I mean, Mr.
We know he
Ryan.
It's okay.
Well, if the resolution says the chant travels with the land.
No, if you look at the resolution, there was a significant, it goes into great detail.
Well, the second resolution was just about the hours.
Yeah.
So if the hours were to change, that would be another variance.
See, I do read this stuff and give it to me.
Well, the drive-in is 24 hours.
Because they conditioned.
The ATM, but the window, if they prepare to open that again, it's not going to necessarily operate. They're not going to have a teller in the window 24.
Yeah, right.
No, if you look at, I'm just going by what they put on. If you look at these prior approvals, which they are basing much of their case on, that it was approved already, there were stipulations on these resolutions as regarding the hours of operation.
Mr. Spangler can answer that. I think what you'll hear is that the hours actually, they're slightly different.
They probably would be slightly different, but if he could opine as to what the differences might be, I'd appreciate it.
Yeah.
Sure. From what I'm seeing here, they had previously been weekdays, 8 till 4:30. Our proposed hours are from 9 till 5, so an hour less in the morning, a half hour in the afternoon, net half hour less. Thursday was an 8 a.m. to 7, long day. We don't have that long day. And Saturday was 8:30 till 1, we're 9 till 1. So overall,
And obviously,
hours
the
shorter.
ATM is 24/7. I mean, that's.
Correct. Yeah, if we can't shut the
We're just
ATM off.
talking about the window, which you still continue to want to operate, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So you would have no problem with us, if we grant the variance, stipulating the hours that you just mentioned in the resolution of approval, right? Correct in that?
Well, as modified,
Yeah.
slightly, yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, before we got to that point, we may need to.
Sure.
You clarify with Mr. Macera, when they would intend to operate, correct? Yeah.
And Vice Chair, I think earlier you had asked about the size of the flag. So I did not find it in our code. The Gates flag and banner says that the maximum flag size can only be 5 by 8 on that pole. Only 5 by 8. Can't get this really big.
Thanks, Ken. And once again, I'm sure we've seen numerous violations of the size of the flags in various locations, but that's an enforcement issue. It's not anything that we can stipulate what it should be. Yeah.
Okay.
Other thoughts?
Gustav, ask questions while he's still there.
Oh, we're supposed to just be
Oh,
discussing.
no.
We can discuss them. You can ask us the question. Okay. Well, guys. I'll deliberate about mine.
Okay. So my general thoughts with the drive-in, or the drive-through, I'm not going to get into the legal debate whether we need to, because I'm okay with it. It's been operating as kind of the drive-through for 15, 20 years or so without incidents, and now we know that the traffic for both the ATM as well as the actual teller in the drive-through has gone down. So I am fine with it continuing as is. I would be okay if we did condition to make it a right-hand turn only from a safety perspective. In terms of the flagpole height of 25 feet, I'm okay with that as well. I was on the site earlier and I saw the flagpole, and I would say it did not necessarily look kind of out of place from a height perspective. I would defer to our flag size expert to my left as to a recommendation as to the size. Considering there is none one There is not one in the ordinance. I would say we should say that it should be no bigger than,
Well,
the
Kathleen just
particular
cited,
size.
what is it, state size?
No, it's the flagpole manufacturer
Oh.
installer has their recommendation that a maximum
Yeah,
size
I don't know
for
where
that
it's
pole
located.
is
Oh.
5 feet
Exactly.
by 8 feet.
Okay,
So it cannot be larger than that.
Probably 5 feet.
okay.
Yeah. I would also like the condition that the flag is an American flag. All right, and in terms of the window signage, after hearing the testimony, I would agree that 50% does make it more legible. Particularly, it would be vehicle traffic on the, that would see the one window on the, I guess it would be the western side of the building at the front. So I think the signage is fine with me. In terms of the freestanding monument, I think that the 5 feet height is a little much. I'd be more inclined for a 4-foot height. I'm personally okay with where it was proposed in kind of that the landscape area near the entrance to the parking lot as opposed to the corner. I mean, I could go either way, but I think that's fine from a location to help people identify where the bank is, have some of the branding, so on and so forth. I would think that most of the people that are going to the bank probably know exactly where they're going beforehand, so they probably don't even necessarily need the sign, but I certainly understand from a branding perspective and just kind of the general acknowledgement that it's there, considering the sign physically on the building is not, it's not substantial at all, and it's set back off the road.
Your comment on the signage, was it restricted just to those 2 windows identified by the applicant?
Correct. As testified, there was just the 2 windows on the northwest side.
Corner.
So is that a trade-off that they're not doing 25% on any other window? Like a condition would be 50% on those 2 windows, provided that there's no 25% on any others?
And the question, just a discussion that Mr. Williams and I had, we were considering that number to be all windows. Cumulative.
But what's the ordinance?
So we would allow 50% on the 2 windows, and the rest of the windows can't have more than a total of 25%, right?
That works.
Per window or per
No,
total?
Per total.
Per total, so per total, so you'd have to do the math, but you add 50% of each of those 2 windows, and then if there's anything remaining, I mean, there would be, because if you have more than 4 windows.
Yeah, lots of windows.
You can put 25%. If you have 1 window empty and 1 window with 50, that's 25, right? So if you have 2 empty, 2 with 50.
But the key is that the 2 windows are allowed to have 50% each. That's number 1.
Yep.
Okay, keep those separate. What do you want with the other windows? Rather than try to do an equation that takes into account, an inclusion of the 50s.
How about the other windows comply with the 25%?
Yeah, there you go. Okay.
That works.
Right.
God, it is so tough working with an attorney when an engineer would figure that out.
I had to ask the question.
I'm not a huge fan of the signage, because if it's intended to project a deal, you have to digest that deal. You have to understand what it's saying, right? I mean, if you drive by McDonald's, you see the golden arches, it's like immediate identity, you know what that is. But if you drive past a sign like this and you're like, 4% CDs, expiring, it takes a little time to mentally understand that. And when you're going, whatever the speed limit is here, 35, because, that's the max, down Bloomfield Avenue, that's potentially distracting.
Christie, fast food restaurants have those signs with different deals, 2 for $8, $3.99.
Well,
Happy
not
Meals.
at, Bloomfield Avenue, going downhill here, that, I feel like that's,
Did the original approval, the variance approval stipulate the size of the sign?
This is the window signs, which were mentioned.
The building signage is fine, that was already approved. The signage on the building was approved previously. It's up.
Was there, you were already there?
Yeah,
In 2004, 2006.
No.
No, I'm sorry.
The signage on the building itself for the bank, that was already approved by me. Did not need a variance, and that was already done. So that the use was, the use of the actual bank without the, was also approved. So they've actually already opened. This is just for the other areas that weren't needed for them to actually open the operation, because that's not what the variance were for the flagpole and the windows and the ATM and the monument sign.
And I think that's what I think that's where I'm just having a hard time here, because I think we focused on some things, but we didn't really cover a lot of other things that in the past we've really had long deliberations on. So it's a new ATM, if that's my understanding, right? In that drive-through lane, in that same location that they're putting it in.
Right, so
Okay.
the
But
ATM was
we don't know
removed.
what they're doing with
Yeah.
it now. Like,
Right.
we don't know what it's going to look like at this time. It's not there anymore. So they're going to put one in. Correct? So we need to approve that. So I think it would have been nice to like know what the condition of the now is going to be, like not what somebody did before, which we've gotten in the past. What they're gonna
Because
do
theoretically,
now.
it could be bigger ATMs.
It could be a bigger one, it could be a smaller one.
Before.
And
I
so
did not receive any
My
rendering.
point is, it would have been nice to see,
Right.
there are going to be new lights, there are going to be new cameras. If it's going to be a 24-hour thing, that changes the conditions of it. It would have been nice to see that. Part two, the monument sign, to me, it's just an idea. If for the quantity of customers that are going there, the actual customers walk in, like it was said, know where they're going. I think a lot of traffic, especially for the ATM, that's who are going to be caught by the eye of it. We've had a lot of discussion in the past about monument signs. This is just, it should go there. I think better knowing what the right sign is for this location, for me, I didn't get that understanding. And so flagpole, cool, great. Like window signs, whatever, I mean, I get it, but like, to me, like those two things, I feel like I didn't get the full sense of, like we have discussed ad nauseum in the past. Kind of just that thoroughness of it. And that's where I'm just kind of, especially like, from their part, like, is it even worth their investment in, like, the monument sign, like, really, is it even worth their money to even put it there?
I think some of the reason we didn't have the discussion was because they're looking to restore.
But the monument sign wasn't there before, is my point, like.
Not in that spot.
Correct. And if the prior deliberation was to not even put it there before, like, our countermanding was approved before. Like, if they had a discussion to not put it there, are we going against what the discussion was?
It was a 4-3 vote.
Well, no, I think he's raised some very interesting points here regarding, what we scrutinized in the past. We haven't, if we accept the fact that the pre-existing condition compels us to continue it, meaning the window that's there and the restoration of the ATM, could we in fact, though, get into the fact that it's so much later, could we put lighting stipulations in? I don't know, or could we put, that the ATM should be, have a certain amount of lighting, or
You could.
secure, or is there going to be a security camera, for example, by the ATM to indicate? I mean, these are, I think, legitimate questions that if you could maybe address them, it might set this gentleman's mind at ease.
Both those items are required. You cannot have an ATM that does not have a security camera.
Okay, these are state,
That's a bank- that's a
these are
banking regulation.
state requirements?
I believe so. It might be federal.
Federal, okay.
So it does have adequate lighting, and there is a test for that, and it does have a security camera. You can't have an ATM without a security camera.
And again, which in the past, we've had thorough discussions in terms of the impact of this and the impact of that and the quantity of what it's, we've laboriously gone through this in the past. So that's just my point. Like, I'm not looking to not do this, it's just, I do the full understanding.
And just a question for Kathleen. The variance is for the drive-through lanes, right? It's not the ATM machines that require a variance, right? It's just,
No, the ATM does as well because it's a drive-through ATM. So anything that requires the drive-through. But so if the ATM was walkable on, the sidewalk, it wouldn't require the variance because it's not part of the drive-through.
okay.
You recall, that's why I asked the question if you've ever considered putting the ATM, on the front of the building where you wouldn't have to drive through to access it. I mean, yeah.
I'm just looking to put it where it always was.
Wherever it was, okay.
As long as the bank.
Well, some banks actually have two, Alan. I mean,
Yeah, no, I know.
it's possible.
Yeah.
It's
It's
just
just-
asking the question.
Right.
You're only doing one.
Can I make a comment? About the ATM, customers do feel much safer with a drive-up ATM than they do with a walk-up ATM. So the preference from the consumer is to have a drive-up.
Yeah, if the consumer has the driver's license and drives. If they just walk, they can walk up to the drive ATM, but. But listen, I'm going to follow up on the vice chairman's comments. I'm satisfied regarding with the drive, continuing the drive-through, just with the stipulation that there be only a right-hand turn out of the driveway. I think it's already there. They have made valid points that, it existed from 26 to whenever the final closure was. So I don't think we're doing anything overly dramatic by just letting them resume that function. And maybe making, in my estimation, an improvement for safety, just, stipulating that the turn can only, be made to the right.
I would just add that if you were going to make that condition, that then you have to add that they have to put signage that says no left turn or what have you.
Yeah, that was my thought too. I mean, the ATM transactions are doing faster than a teller window. So, and the fact that the ATM is on the left-hand side, which says that left-hand turn, it made a person that is at the corner waiting for that left. And you just need like 4 or 5 cars backed up at the light. You can't get out. And they're going to feel pressure from the car behind them because now the transactions are faster, that they may make a left push too early, right? That, I know we talked a little bit about that. It wasn't like changing the service, but you are changing, I think, the traffic flow by adding that ATM.
The ATM was always there. I want to make that, I'm asking, right? The
Yes.
ATM was always there.
The left turn was a discussion item.
So, Mr. Chemulak, that would require Essex County Planning Board approval, I believe. No left turn onto Bloomfield Avenue,
I would think so.
and the
It's
sign
County
also.
road, yeah.
So that would be a condition of the approval. And Title 59, enforcing the no left,
Title 39,
39, 59,
Tort Claims Act.
right, tort claims.
You'll come up with wording.
39 is the police, the local police department could enforce that on a private driveway.
Well, I don't know that you need, I mean, you're turning onto a, public road, a county road, so, I mean, the violation is entering into the,
We can defer on that and agree to agree, whatever
Sure.
is necessary.
I think Jennifer's when you hit the street.
If you're traveling westbound on Bloomfield Avenue, you have Mavis on your right, you just passed the bank, can you make a left into the parking lot? You cross 2 lanes of traffic?
You're allowed to cross a solid double line if you are entering a driveway apron on the other side of the street.
You can also go to the light on Lincoln.
Yeah,
That feels a whole lot more safe, which
that would be a lot safer. but
to
you-
me,
but you're
I
not
mean,
violating.
I'm wondering, again, the location of the sign. I'm not buying it in that location. Yeah. I think that makes a whole lot more sense where it was.
Is that a general consensus?
What is what a general consensus be? Because I don't feel as though we've made a determination as to how high the flag should be.
Well,
Can we go through each of the variances, just one by one?
one by one?
Yeah.
Okay. Let's start with the drive-through. Do you want to discuss them one by one? You're not looking to vote on them one by one yet.
Oh, yeah,
Are you?
just discuss.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let's start with the discussion of the drive-through, which I gather Scott is okay with.
I'm okay with.
Kevin is okay with.
Mhm.
This is,
Just with the,
Yep.
Okay.
with the stipulation of the no
with
left turn.
stipulation and a sign, okay. All right.
One way, one down, and what, 3 to
One
go?
down. Okay, let's look at window signage. Scott is okay with them putting, 20 by 50 flag over the window.
50% on the 2 windows.
On those 2 windows,
And then
comply with the rest. Wrap that one up.
Okay, there you go.
Okay.
You have to
Let's
add
do-
the temporary signage can be changed, that they don't have to come back in for temporary signs.
Can say anything. Right.
Okay, let's do the monument, because I got the sense that the location isn't,
It feels bad, it feels too big, the monument sign. I'm fine with the placement, I know you're not.
I'm not fine with the placement. I also think, just for the record, this night view, you're never going to see that. There's lights all over the place like this. I think it's not going to be nearly as prominent as it is in this. I don't mind the actual sign, I just don't like the location of it.
So if we're being consistent about continuing the prior variances, why not just leave the sign and the flagpole where they were? I mean, I don't, the applicant can't have it both ways, is what I'm saying. In other words, the parts that they liked about the last ruling, we want them, but now, we still want the sign and we want the flagpole, we want to change the location. Is that basically what we're, and the size maybe, right?
yeah, well, I would be consistent with that, and I'd have no problem with the taller flagpole near the corner.
Yeah, okay.
The flag will be higher.
But the sign seems to be more of an issue than the
The sign,
flagpole at
yeah.
this point, correct?
Yeah. And when I looked at that night sign, I thought we were going to have a professional women's basketball team. Missed the word bank. Is that a consensus? Is it a consensus as far as the monument is concerned, that it would be better suited, even at this size, in the original location where the original monument was approved? On the corner coming into town, marking,
I'm indifferent, but I still think it should be only 4 feet high.
okay. Is that,
As is. I mean, we have to vote on this application, right?
right? Okay, I'm, Bill's okay with it. It sounds as though everyone else would be happier with the relocation of the monument.
Well, I thought we had a discussion at one point that they would work with the engineer regarding the placement of the monument, or they would submit.
Where it is now, it was how far back from the roadway
Right.
it would be.
But the size
However,
of,
there's an approved spot over where the flagpole is now.
okay, so they'd have to flip the.
Yeah. Unless,
Well, the applicant would have to, if that's the consensus, the applicant would have to modify the application to flip those.
Well, if that's the board's desire, we would accept that, without modifying the
Well,
application.
I'm not saying present new testimony.
Right.
But the board can't vote. You made a application to put a monument sign here. You have not requested to move it. So the board can't give you approval to put it somewhere else without your request, is all I was suggesting.
Well,
The board doesn't have the power to modify your application. They can only vote on what you apply for.
okay, but we would be willing, if
Right.
the board's inclination is to flip the flag and the sign,
Right.
that would be acceptable.
That would be
to
your
the
request.
Yeah, well, that would be our alternative request to the, we would accept that if that's the board's decision.
can we make that a condition of approval and say it's
It's not,
It's
no,
not a
because
condition.
it wasn't,
Yeah,
the
I
board-
understand Greg's point.
you have to vote on their application.
Right.
And their application, respectfully to my colleague, their application cannot be give us this or give us that. The application has to be, this is what we are applying for. That's why you do a consensus to kind of give the applicant an idea. And then the applicant can say, okay, we'll modify our application to ask for the monument sign here and then.
like the
Well,
chicken wire.
Or another way to approach that would be to, approve the application for the monument sign, for example,
The sign
provided
itself.
it be relocated to the corner, and same thing with the flag, that the flag is approved, provided it be relocated to its
I
original
would just
position.
prefer, for the record, that you modify the request, but you do.
Okay, we'll modify the request then.
Right.
I mean,
Okay. I think that's the proper.
based upon, I think,
Exactly.
what we're hearing as a consensus from the board.
Exactly.
So, we certainly don't want to have to come back.
Otherwise, your application would be voted on and voted no without a subsequent application to pass.
Mhm.
Right, that's all I'm suggesting. Right.
Okay. Huh?
Anybody understand that?
No, I actually did
It's
understand
not
that.
complicated.
I think our council's making a valid point.
You
In other
have to
words,
vote on what is before you.
What they asked for,
Exactly.
we would be denying that, and then they would.
And then you have
come in-
nothing left to do.
To do.
You have to vote on.
And then they would have to come back in with a new application technically. But can they?
They did.
Okay,
Right.
can they modify their
Yes,
application on the
absolutely.
spot?
Yes.
Okay. Which in my estimation, you just did, Mr. Tremblay?
I think I did, yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Good.
To try to get to the end point and, hearing.
I've had a lot of experience with this minutia, as you know, so, but, okay, let's go.
Okay, folks, so it sounds like there's been a slight amendment to the application, which would flip the locations or restore the location of the monument to where it was originally on the corner. We have some concerns about the height of it, and I believe the other one was also shorter. So is a condition of approval that the sign which is now going to be at the corner, be no more than 4 feet high?
Was that what it was before? We don't know what it was before, though, right?
No,
We
but
lost our.
It was shorter.
It was
They only have
shorter.
one name.
If we could get a greater consensus of the board,
4 feet high.
4 feet high, I would be very happy to go along with that.
Okay, so everyone would be happy with, everyone up here would be happy with that. All right. Now, takes us to the flagpole, which is now going to be placed in the location of the original flagpole in the little island as you come into the parking lot off of Bloomfield Avenue. Anyone have a problem with the flagpole as pictured, the 25-foot flagpole with a 5x8 flag of the United States of America?
The only thing, Mr. Chairman, I think the board can preclude advertising as a flag to advertise or promote, but I don't think it would be prudent for the board to stipulate that it must be an American flag. As much as I wish that, I think that the board could, I don't think that is a proper stipulation.
We could limit the number of flags, though, couldn't we? Could we have one
You can
flag?
limit the number of flags, absolutely.
Okay. I think we did discuss that prior, one flag.
No, yeah.
Right.
Okay.
I don't think they'd have a problem.
That's perfectly acceptable. It's going to be an American flag, but I understand.
Okay. Everyone seems to be amenable to that?
And it would be de facto then granting the height variance, so, right, yes, okay.
Well, that's
Part of it, right, yeah.
Right.
That's fine.
Yeah.
Is there any reason why it has to be, in the opinion of the applicant, 25 feet?
They probably just ask Gates for a
I mean, is
flagpole.
there an advantage
Yeah.
that
The problem is, I apologize, but it's a new flagpole that's installed. See, my assumption is that that flagpole would be lifted up from where it is and brought back to the other location.
Yeah, I don't think we can, I wouldn't want to be overly punitive and say that they can't use the flagpole.
Right, it just, whatever. If the majority of people feel that 25 feet is fine, we go along with that.
Okay. It's like pulling teeth. It sounds like we've got our 4 variances somewhat tied down with conditions. So, if anyone would like to make a...
Wait, hold on. Also, could we put a condition that the hours are extended to 5 PM as testified?
You want to leave the morning hours in case they want to change them?
Yeah.
Yes, I think that's perfectly acceptable.
Right, okay.
Okay. All right, so with that small tweaking, would anyone like to make a motion in the matter of 2026-09, 725 Bloomfield Avenue?
I'll make that motion to approve 2026-09 with all the conditions we just discussed.
Second,
Okay,
I'll second that.
all right, we've got it. Roll call vote?
Mr. Tully?
Yes.
Dr. Rees?
Yes.
Dr. Cortez?
Yes.
Mr. Ryan?
yes.
Mrs. Di Bartolo?
Yes.
Vice Chair Weston?
Yes.
Chair McGinley?
Yes. By my count, that was a unanimous vote, which is even better than 2004. Council will draw up the appropriate paperwork.
Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your
We look
time.
forward to, welcome to town, and we look forward to your continued good luck.
Best wishes for success for your employees. You don't like to see him do it.
Do we need a short break? Okay, let's look at a 10-minute break to 10:15. Typically, we don't hear any testimony after 11 o'clock. So please be back here at 10:15. Denise has to recuse herself as a resident within 200 feet of the property, right? So note that for the record. Counselor?
Mr. Chair, well, somebody got to introduce the application first?
Okay, we are going to look at application 2026-10, 257 Pompton Avenue.
Mr. Chairman, the notice of this meeting has been forwarded in accordance with the municipal land use law. It's been published in accordance with the municipal land use law, and the applicant may proceed. Mr. Chairman, Mr. Aloya has appeared in front of this board before, and we noted that he is the attorney for the Township of Verona. He is to be afforded no special treatment because he is the attorney, and likewise, Mr. Aloya does not have any higher standard than any other applicant in proving his application.
Okay.
Mr. Aloya, I think you're going to testify on your own behalf. As much as it's unusual for an attorney, just, do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Counselor, we typically, as a board, don't hear additional testimony after 11 o'clock. We will do board discussions. I imagine your testimony is going to exceed that?
Testimony for the complete application, that's correct. I have both the architect and the engineer planner here today. I'm hoping, because what I have to say is very short, that would get through my architect today. And so that would leave the engineer for, I guess, next month.
Right, we would push you to next month. Good. I just want you to be aware of that going into this.
Great, yep, thank you. I understood that from earlier.
Okay?
Are you ready?
Ball's in your court.
So as indicated, I'm Brian Aloya. I'm the owner of 257 Pompton Avenue, Verona, New Jersey. Currently, that property is in a C2 zone. When I purchased it, it was being used as all residential. I believe it was used as a two-family, although it's set up as a three-family. Being in the C2 zone, it's currently zoned for professional office and business, and you're allowed to have the mixed use with apartments upstairs. As the board knows, while this is a brand-new application, I was here on a very similar-looking application. And just as a little background, because you'll hear later on when the engineer testifies, what happened is we went to the state and asked for approval of the application. What the state did is they modified the parking area of the application, removing about 4 spots. And then what that did is that left us with 16 spots. And then after doing some additional research and speaking to individuals, I ended up modifying the plans, and the plans before you are for 4 single-bedroom units on 2 floors, so 8 altogether, with 16 parking spots. So that will be the application today. It will have 25% affordable, which is 2. So there'll be a total of 8 units, 2 are affordable, all residential, all single-bedroom units. So with that, I'd like to...
Can I ask a quick question?
Certainly.
Why did the state need to be?
It's on state highway. So that
Not just-
road
not
right in
just
the...
county, but state?
It's state, that's correct.
Okay.
That area, the state highway starts right there. So it's the state of New Jersey.
And what was their rationale for?
The state actually has, which I guess I wasn't aware of, certainly. The state has a requirement that when you pull into a driveway, you have to have enough room so cars backing in and out of the spots can't block you from being your car fully onto the property so you don't get broadsided. So our spots were too close in the original plans, where if someone was backing out of the spot closest to the roadway, at the same time someone was trying to turn in, they could get stuck on 23. This way, you'll see when you look at the plans, there's actually I'll call it a holding area. You can pull in, and if someone else were to kind of cut you off by backing out of the spot, you can stay there and you're safe on the property of 257 Pompton Avenue. With that, I'd like to call my architect, Kurt Schmidt.
Mr. Schmidt, could you state your name and business address for the record?
Kurt Schmidt, 7 Shawnee Trail, Denville, New Jersey.
And can you raise your right hand? Do you swear or affirm the testimony you're about to give is the truth?
Yes.
Thank you.
Now, as indicated earlier, we were here on the same property on a different application, and Mr. Schmidt was also the architect of that. Would you like to have his background again, or would you like to recognize him as an expert because he's appeared before you?
I don't have a problem recognizing him.
License is still in good standing?
Yes, it is.
Accepted as an architect.
Great, thank you. Mr. Schmidt, can you review the plans and go over the plans for the board?
Sure. I'll just do a quick summary of what is there now. I think everyone knows, but I'll just summarize it. Currently, there's a 1.5-story building with 3 apartments. 2 are on the first floor and 1 on the second floor. It has a basement, a typical residential storage. The building itself is going to be removed in its entirety to make way for a new building. So we're going to tear down the entire building, basements and all, and make way for a new structure. The new structure is going to be a 2-story building. Basement is going to be used for tenant storage, landlord building storage. There will be 8 apartments, as Mr. Aloy stated, 4 on the first floor, 4 on the second. All will be 1-bedroom units, of which 2 are going to be designated as affordable units. The area of the basement, gross building area is 3,976 square feet. First floor is the same, 3,976 square feet. Second floor is 4,027 for a total of 11,979 square feet. Apartment sizes range from 885 to 968 square feet. The building, and that I'm pointing out here the drawings you have before you that are dated March 16, 2006. There's 2 drawings. There's the floor plan, which is our current A1, architectural A1. There's no change
Yes.
from what you have.
No change from what, you know what, Mr. Schmidt, if you don't mind, let's mark it.
Okay, so we'll call this one A1. And then we have the elevation sheet that I will call A2.
What are the dates of those, Mr. Schmidt?
Again, it's March 16, 2026.
Thank you.
So just quickly, this is the basement level. There will be 10 storage cages or lockers, whatever you want to call them. Here's landlord storage. There are 4 apartments here on the second floor, 4 apartments here on the first floor, all 1 bedroom. And this is a roof plan that shows the location of rooftop condenser units. The building will have a flat roof and with slight pitch towards the interior drains. The architectural elevations are as follows. This first one in the upper left is the west elevation or the Pompton Avenue elevation. It's a 2-story structure. The highest elevation of the tallest element will be approximately 28.5 feet. The second height here would be the top of these roofs that are around the perimeter here. That's about 26 feet. And the building itself is going to be relatively level all the way around. There's not going to be that much difference in topography. The side elevation here is the one that faces Vincent Place. Again, similar materials. The rear here faces, I guess, would be the west side of the property. The east side of the property. The rear, again, everything is 2 stories, and this is the one facing towards the north end of Pompton, Pompton Avenue. The materials for the building, there will be asphalt shingle roofs here on the corners to help slope up, and these roofs are going to come up and become a slight parapet that will conceal the condensers on the roof behind it. These are going to be about 3.5 feet taller than the roof surface itself. So they should be able to conceal the location of the condenser units that are shown on the rooftop plan. The materials of the building are going to be vertical ones here. These taller elements is going to be some kind of a wood or synthetic wood siding in an earth tone color. The horizontal siding would probably be a cementitious type siding, again in a lighter color, perhaps something along the order of the color of the walls in here, a light cream. Again, an earth tone of some type. And the base of the building and then some accent points here is going to be brick veneer, again, probably in the red or brownish tones. Windows are residential in character. They are going to be white framed windows, insulated type glass. There was a discussion I had with my client earlier. I indicate a ground mounted monument sign. We are not doing that sign. So I'm going to just very nicely X that out right now. There is another sign on the building, just the building number of 257. I believe the sign is well within the compliance of the ordinance for its size. It's a sign that's roughly 9 square feet, and the maximum permitted is substantially higher, somewhere in the neighborhood of 68 feet. So that's the architectural in a nutshell. Let me see if there's anything else that you can add. No, that's pretty much it. So if there are any questions, comments?
These are casement windows.
They will more than likely be casement windows, yes.
Is this sprinklered?
The building will be fully sprinkled.
And can you talk about adaptability and accessibility?
We
if
will
required?
comply with the requirements of the barrier-free and accessibility codes. In a conversation I had with persons at the Department of Community Affairs in Trenton, this building does not require an elevator because of the number of units, but all apartments will meet certain adaptive requirements for accessibility as well as adaptability at both floors.
Is there any difference in terms of square footage or layout or otherwise for the affordable housing units versus the others?
They are all the same size. I don't know which ones will be designated, but as I stated, the difference in square footage is not that much. The minimum is 885 and the maximum is 968. So they're within 10%.
If I may, in that regard, all the units are the same where they're, the kitchens, the setups are almost identical and they all have, washer, dryer, laundry facilities for each unit. So the affordable units will be no different in quality or amenities than the other units.
Mr. Chairman, just for the board's knowledge, Verona's zoning code does not have a requirement, or any of the ordinances does not have a requirement that affordable units be similar to the other units in the building that have an affordable component. So that is correct.
Yes.
I can tell you that these will be similar.
In terms of, the square footage can be different.
Okay, yeah.
The code doesn't require, some towns have codes that specifically require it has to be the same square feet or can't be less, whatever.
And is the plan to have these as rentals or would it be like a condo HOA?
Rentals.
Which the applicant can't be bound to. If you award the variance, it's the number of units, but the town is not allowed to dictate whether it can be owned, whether it's owned or rented.
Would you be looking for any kind of tax relief, any sort of tax abatement, any sort of designation as a area in need of redevelopment?
At this time, I don't believe it qualifies for anything under the township's codes.
Okay, so you don't intend to apply at the moment?
Well, like I said, I don't think it qualifies. So I guess the answer to your question is no, currently no.
That's fine. A ham sandwich would qualify, but go ahead, that's fine.
Sometimes. You get invited to.
Yes.
Just for the record, none of the units have balconies. The two overhangs are over the front door and the rear.
Correct, there are no balconies, there are really no patios per se, there's just the front and rear entrances. So there's no exterior living, if you will.
And where are the mailboxes?
They will probably be within the corridor when you walk in. Hasn't been determined exact location yet. Some towns or some postal offices require things to be on a stand outside. I'm not sure what Verona requires.
What about garbage and recycling? Would it be contained within each unit and then there'd be a place outside the physical structure?
That's correct, and I believe it's actually in the plans of the engineer that they're in the back. Yeah, so we'll review that later, but it's page 2 of 8 of the engineer's plans.
Our engineer, I'm sure you got a copy of this, wrote quite an extensive review of your plan. I'm referring to a Boswell, May 1st, 2026.
Yes.
Okay. Have you had an opportunity to review the memorandum?
I have.
Okay. Do you take exception or have any additional comments to any of the points that were made in the report?
I don't believe.
Anything that's related architecturally as far as comments?
Yes.
I have no comments or don't take any exception to any of them.
Okay.
There aren't that many.
Okay. No, in your area of expertise, though, I guess.
Correct.
I think most of the comments that I had in the letter were already addressed in testimony. The only clarification I need is regarding the HVAC units that are proposed on the roof. You said the front part of the building that bumps out the two, I'm just gonna say like the pillars are gonna hide the HVAC units, but they're not actually proposed right behind those. So do you think you're still gonna be able to see them from street view?
The HVAC, the HVAC units are shown on the, architecture are shown on the building roof.
Right, that's the question. You said the front part of the building, the height is 3 feet higher to hide the units, but they're not exactly proposed behind that area.
They can be shifted or modified so that they will be located in such a manner that they will be concealed.
Okay, thank you.
And they are set back within the roof quite a distance so that from the ground, unless you're a couple, 300 feet away, you wouldn't even see the tops of them.
And Seraphin, I guess you're referring to in your report, this is, I think it's points 52 to 55 that refers specifically to the architecture? Yes. Okay. So if you wanted to take a quick look at those to make sure that...
52, I think I did summarize the building modifications with demolishing existing or constructing a new two-story. Materials and colors, I've done that. Address overall use of the site, inclusive deliveries, refuse, et cetera. I think a lot of the information for deliveries and proposed site work would be deferred actually to the engineer, our engineer of record.
Okay.
But as far as the ownership that was discussed, the apartment layouts, they were one bedroom, and item 55 with the HVAC units on the roof, they will be modified as necessary. And the final set of drawings to make sure that they are concealed.
And the signage is out, am I correct, at 56, I'm looking at that?
The ground sign.
Well, on the report, we also did say you're just not going to...
The monument sign will be eliminated from the
Okay.
set of drawings.
Okay.
So you're completely removing the existing building and all the foundation associated with it?
Yes.
And so even with that, it couldn't be designed so that some of the other variances couldn't be eliminated and be built within code? Meaning, like, if the whole site couldn't be
The
designed?
building itself is actually being knocked down, so the architectural layout of the interior can be designed this way, and you'll have a full basement underneath for storage. But if you look, the building's actually almost the same size, but squared off. So the only variance we're actually needed is the variance of the setback, of the rear yard setback is the only variance, and that couldn't be, the building couldn't be maneuvered to eliminate that.
And
the parking.
And the parking stall?
Yeah, and the parking. Well, the parking stall, you'll hear from the engineer, while we request a variance to make it clear, there's an overhang, and the engineer will testify this, so they're actually 20 feet with the overhang. So while it's our position, we don't need a variance, we appreciate it, we're asking for the variance to make sure it's clear should the board decide to grant this project.
Okay.
And obviously, there's the use variance is the main.
The use variance is the main variance, that's correct.
We also had a report from our Shade Tree Commission. I don't know whether that's appropriate for you or Mr. Helb or the applicant. Did you agree with, they were just concerned about, I know you proposed to replace all the, that would be Mr. Helb.
That will be Mr. Helb, but I can
Okay.
tell you all
So
the trees will be replaced. My understanding is the township will actually, should you grant this application, the township will actually come out and we'll go over what trees are dead, what trees are alive.
Okay.
But they'll all be replaced. We will not be paying to not have them on the property, because as you can see in the plans, we've maintained that 15-foot buffer. And so we need to plant trees and fast-growing bushes there, so there's going to be lots of trees planted.
So I'm just curious why you opted to go with 8 one-bedroom versus a mixture of maybe, 1, 2, 3 bedrooms?
It was kind of like a flip of the coin, to be honest with you. When I started to do the designs, if I had fit 2 bedrooms in there, but then I started thinking about what the township might want. And I know in many towns, there's a concern about additional school kids. And then the location of that building also doesn't really lend itself, I'll call it, to school kids playing on the state highway. So I thought the 1-bedroom was a better fit after everything was considered. And then when you started to play with 2 bedrooms, it was just an odd layout architecturally. So really, there was a mixture, but then I ended up with going with a 1-bedroom more so because I thought that's what the township would appreciate more.
So does this maximize the buildable area on the site then?
Does not. However, I think if you made the building larger to maximize the size of the building, I might have a parking problem. I didn't actually do that math, because what I gave my architect the designs to do this building, I actually said keep the site plan the exact same as the last project that was before you, so we didn't change in the parking. And then we kind of backed into more parking spots than is required by code, but I personally like 2 spots per unit. This way, the parking will never be a problem to the area, the residents in the area, on the street and whatnot.
And this is going to resolve your problem that you had with the state on the prior application?
The state has already approved this project that you have before you, so yes.
The state has
Yes.
given the...
They made us modify the parking to what you see before you.
Okay.
So that this has been approved, I don't have to go back to the state, should you approve this.
So I understand the single bedroom thing. I've seen this before, but what I also have seen in these types of things is, unless I'm not seeing it on the exterior, is an interior common space. Like, is there a common space inside or outside? I mean, I'm not seeing it inside.
Other than the storage units in the
Yeah.
basement?
Is there exterior like common space or
The stairs
dwelling
common-
area?
The stairways are common in the corridor alongside, yes.
Is there anything exterior?
Do you plan on having any type of a superintendent on site, or how are you going to?
Superintendent on site? No.
Yeah.
But I plan on being the owner of the building. I live in town, so.
But the tenants will have redress directly to you at this point?
Sure, as the owner of the building.
Okay, yeah. Well, I mean, so you're not going to hire a management, I mean.
A management company, no, but.
No,
you know,
I mean, it's not
there'll be
out of the question
landscapers
that a
and stuff
building
like
of this
that, yeah.
size, you might require a management company, depending upon who's running it. Okay.
Are there any other questions from the board for our architect? Seeing none? Yeah, I have a better view of it. Seeing none, is there anyone from the public who has a question of the architect on the material that he has presented this evening? If you'd be so kind as to come up to the microphone, you'll need to give your name and your town.
Samuel John.
Okay, and please spell your last name.
John.
Thank you.
First name Samuel. Looking at this project and very curious why this project initially started out and got approved last year around this time for a lawyer's office on the first floor and 3 apartments on the second floor. Now, this new project is completely different.
Mr. John, your question is directed to the architect.
Yes, it is, but I'm trying to speak
Based
it.
on the architect's testimony.
Okay, okay.
It's a lead up.
Sir,
It's a lead up. Thank you.
sir, please, thank you.
Okay, so the question is the original plan that was presented last year, is that still a viable option, or is that obsolete at this point?
Mr. Chairman, excuse me, I got threatened. I'm calling the police to ask you to be removed. You don't threaten me. You understand?
I didn't say a word to you.
You did say a word.
I didn't say anything to you other than the fact that he's
I'm
getting.
calling the police to have you removed from this
There's no need
meeting.
to remove me. I didn't threaten you, sir. I'm just saying he's trying to lead up to what he's trying to say. That's all. I didn't threaten you in any way. No one heard a threat. I didn't make.
I saw a threat, okay? I saw you threaten me and you mouthed a threat to me.
I didn't mouth
You
anything to you.
do not deny it.
I did not know. I didn't say anything to you and not anything to you.
Mr. Chairman, can we have a break, please?
Take a break.
Hi, it's Greg Sarah. I'm at a zoning board meeting, and we need to have some.
Discuss what happened with the officer when he gets here.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. John?
Hold on, let's make sure we're back on record.
Mr. John, if you would continue?
Sure, thank you.
And again, this is an opportunity to ask questions, and while you're leading up to something, if you could direct the question to the architect based on what he said tonight about that building.
Sure. So the question are the original plans that were submitted and approved last year in June of 2025, are they still a liable option, or are those plans now obsolete?
I would presume, and I will let the applicant speak for himself, the fact that he wanted to change the project to become an all-apartment building, I would assume that it's not a viable option.
Those plans were denied by the state of New Jersey, so I'd have to come back here and re-ask this board to approve those plans. So they're not a viable option. So while they were approved by this board, they were denied by the state.
On what basis were they denied?
They were denied based upon.
Because that's a C2.
They removed the parking. So this board would then have to come and I'd have to reappear before this board and ask the board to reapprove that application.
But you still have 16 parking spots on that property as it was back then as well.
Back then, I believe there were 21
But then it was chopped down to 16.
by the state of New Jersey, not by
Right.
this board. This board approved a project with 21 spots.
They approved it with 20, I believe. I could be wrong, give or take.
20 or 21.
Right.
What I'm saying is, while this board approved that plan,
Mhm.
the state then would not approve it. We went through and it got modified. And in order for those old plans to be approved by this board, I'd have to reappear before this board and renotice everybody and try and go forward with those plans. So right now, the plan that was approved by this board, I could not do.
Okay.
I could pursue it though. I could pursue it if I wanted to, but instead I'm pursuing this.
Okay, so what you're asking for is to change the C2 zoning to completely residential,
That's correct. This is a completely residential building.
right? So,
That's correct.
but by doing that, you're increasing the traffic on Vincent Place, okay? Because there's going to be visitors that are going to come, and there's 8 units, so there's probably going to be close to maybe 16 individuals living there if there were couples there, because it's a 1-bedroom apartment.
I would imagine that that's the most number of people that live there.
Right.
That's correct. It could
And
be that high.
so there's going to be issues with parking, visitors.
Mr. John?
I believe that from the stop sign, you're allowed, you have to be 50 feet from the stop sign in order to park.
Mr. John,
Yes,
are you asking a question? You're going into a statement.
okay,
At the end of the hearing,
sure,
there's a opportunity,
Okay.
before the board deliberates, there's an opportunity for you to make a statement about the application.
okay,
And at that time, it would be appropriate to say that discussing traffic, discussing location, discussing, at this point, the architect has described the new building that they're looking to put
I
on the
understand,
property.
I understand.
Thank you.
Has there a traffic study been done on the project?
I'm going to interject here.
Sure.
Your questions are all valid.
Yeah.
They will be addressed. The questions are not related to the building. You're talking about site issues, which I cannot answer.
Okay,
I would defer that to our site plan engineer.
okay,
Anything related to site work, traffic, parking, anything like that is not a building item. So I really am not the authority on that, on those questions.
okay. So,
Your questions are good, but they're not answerable by me.
okay. And then, lastly, is the property being developed to be sold at a later date?
It could be, that's not my plan now.
Okay, so let's say a year from now, will the property be on the market after it's developed?
I don't think that's an architectural plan or a question.
That's a question.
It's a question for the owner, and the owner speculated that he's not sure.
Okay, all right. That's all I have then.
At this point, we are going to take a recess. You turn off the recording, Rich. Okay, we're ready to go back on the record. And we will continue with questions for our architect and owner. If you would be so kind again, questions for the architect and owner.
Yes, sir. What do we have to say? Just our street, not the
Just your
number?
name and town.
Just your name and town. Anthony Gardner, Gardner, Verona. So a couple of quick questions for you. First, related to the building. You mentioned the HVAC units would be concealed in some way on the roof. What is the view going to be like from Vincent Place? Will that also be concealed, that view, for the residents of the street?
The HVAC units are going to be behind parapet walls with slope roofs in the foreground. All the HVAC units will be concealed from all sides.
Okay, thank you. So I have questions related to, as Sam did, just in terms of the overall direction that this project is now taking. I was here for that last meeting in terms of what you proposed. I'm really interested in you explaining sort of how you think you meet the legal standard for the board to approve this use variance, because As I understand the way the law is written, New Jersey law is written, you have to show both positive criteria and negative criteria being met. And just by the sheer outpouring of people showing up from our street, speaking out against what you're proposing at this point, is a sign that you're not meeting that standard. Because we have a lot of concerns about, one, the size of the parking lot you're going to be putting behind your house, the variance setback that you're requesting. How are those people, you said the state approved the traffic plan, having all those people go out onto Pompton Avenue, there's definitely going to be spillover into Vincent Place because 2 of those spots are on Vincent Place. People that live in that building, 8 units, they're going to have people that come over and visit them. We can hardly get off our street as it is. It's a dangerous intersection. So did the state require you to also do a traffic study to determine, are you able to safely add that volume of cars onto that property? Which I would really encourage, I know these are supposed to be questions directed towards the applicant, but I would really encourage all the members of this board.
Sir, directions, questions of the applicant.
I would encourage you to ask the board to join you at that site to take a look at what you're proposing in the context of the size of that space and how much it abuts to half of that property. Most of that property is on Vincent Place, and most of those impacts will be on Vincent Place. Thank you.
To try to answer some of your questions, so no, the state did not require a study to be done for traffic. However, in the, I'll call it the main parking lot, where there's 14 spots, you can only make a right out of and go down towards Cedar Grove. So that's, I guess, in lieu of a traffic study, they're making you go that way because, as you know from living on Vincent Place, if you're even coming down Vincent Place and you try to make that left, sometimes it's very difficult. So
I'm
with
really
regard
surprised to hear that they approved that, though, because that driveway is so close to that intersection at Claridge and Pompton. I can't see that adding that volume of cars into that area. We already can hardly get off our street because traffic, we have these great signs that the town put in to say don't block the intersection, but people don't adhere to those signs. And it's very difficult to get off our street today without this development in place, either going right or left. So, your original plan was much different in terms of what you were proposing. You were looking at an office space, a couple of apartments on the second floor. And to me, I share Sam's concern. I don't understand your motivation. And especially since you just said it was kind of flip of a coin to put in 8 units. You're just adding in so many cars, so much traffic, concerned about the amount of garbage and material that's going to be, on the street. You're talking about having a dumpster in the back of the property, which will be facing the site.
There'll be no dumpster. They'll use garbage cans.
So there'll be 8 garbage cans at the back of the house, full visible to.
No, they'll be concealed.
Well, number of concerns with this project that I hope you'll consider as you move this application forward.
I certainly will. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Gardner.
Hi, I'm Vincent Mastacchio. I live on Vincent Place. My question is, you mentioned that the roof is going to be a flat roof. What is the drainage going to be like for that? Is the drainage going to end up flowing onto Vincent Place?
The roof drains are internal for the most part, and the perimeter where the shingle roofs are, there are some gutters. The roof, all the water will be collected mostly internally and then directed to the underground storm system that's on the site, designed by our engineer, who could address that question when it is his time to discuss his work.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Sure.
Excuse me, Vincent. Do you mind spelling your last name for me?
Sure, it's Mustaccchio.
Thank you.
Question for the applicant, Scott Primer, Primer, Vincent Place. I know you ran into problems with the state regarding going in and out of and removing 4 spots. It's basically the same way where if you're making a left onto Vincent coming from Cedar Grove, you move the 2 parking spots, move them closer to Pompton Avenue. So when even at where the current driveway is, when you're making the left, if somebody's making a K-turn or a U-turn, or somebody made the wrong turn, is trying to get back to the Claridge or the Kings, you can get stuck up in the T-boned, in other words. So it's the same situation with those two spots that are on Vincent, I believe 15 and 16, as well as going into the entrance where the state made you remove those 4 parking spots. Have you thought on this property to make the footprint or the property smaller and add garages underneath, raise the property, instead of 2.5 feet from ground level, bring it up, have garages underneath, and just one floor on top?
I actually did think of that. However, my understanding is the town does not allow that.
And why is that?
They don't allow parking
They didn't
underneath.
give you, your understanding, they didn't ask you why, they didn't give you a reason?
Oh, no, I didn't ask. That's my
okay,
understanding. My
okay.
understanding is the town doesn't allow it, and my understanding is, just based on experience, this board
Okay,
would
I
not
was just
approve
wondering,
it.
just
Yeah.
to help out on parking, because the way it was, you originally said that you have 5 attorneys and 1 support staff, 6 total employees, 2 that never come to the office, so you have 4 employees, and you had 3 units up top. Those are daytime parking spaces that are used from, say, 8 to 5, 9 to 5, and you had 21 parking spots. There's more than enough, say at night, weekends, to have visitors or other people occupy those parking spots.
God bless you.
Now, with 8 units, 16 designated spots, 1 ADA, 1 an EV, knock them out, so now you have 14, and so you know that they're all going to be parking on Vincent Place. Vincent Place, if you're coming down the hill on Vincent Place, it's not a strict T, it's cantilevers to the left a little bit, so your sight line's a little bit off from looking from left to right. Again, you're going to have a driveway very close to, it's just very dangerous. It's very dangerous now without the work, and after the work, it looks like it might be a lot worse. And I probably have some questions for the engineer, so I'll be back. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there anyone else who has questions of the architect or owner at this time? Seeing none. Counselor, it's now after 11 o'clock. It's
We're done for the night. We'll come back next month.
done for the evening. I believe you will need to waive the time requirements,
They are waived.
and we will continue this without notice.
No further notice is required. The meeting will be carried to the next regular meeting of the zoning board to be held on June 11th in this room at 7:30.
We'll see you then.
Thank you.
Move
To adjourn.
Second.
We're good. You stand adjourned.